It's the month of May, and Mari rushes through the streets to catch up with her class. She bumps into strangers but keeps going, determined not to be late. Along the way, she notices a human-like figure with the face and body of a dog. They are called beast folk. Lately, she has been seeing more of them, but with time running out, she focuses on getting to school first. At Yatsunoa High School, the instructor is already making announcements. He informs the class about the arrival of special status students, referring to the beast folk. He briefly explains their origin, stating that they are actually products of a failed experiment from years ago, making them a rare species. There are only about 3,000 of them in existence, all living in one area of Saitama Prefecture. Despite their differences, they are essentially like humans. Many even visit human society, so now they are given the chance to study alongside human students to better understand them. However, one student raises her concern, claiming that beast folk can be violent. The class also grows uneasy at this, but the instructor reassures them that only those who have passed strict government screening procedures are allowed to study with humans. Meanwhile, Marvi arrives at the school gates, but they are already closed. She quickly looks for another way in and spots a boy wearing the same school uniform. She learns that he got lost, which caused him to arrive late as well. To his surprise, Marvi throws her bag over the fence and begins to climb. She encourages him to follow her, offering her hand. Only then does she realize she is actually talking to a beast person. For a brief moment, she is startled, but before she can react further, he takes her hand and proceeds to jump on top of the fence as well. Tsunagu jumps down first while Mari is still processing what just happened, unable to believe she actually spoke to and held a beast person's hand. She recalls the coldness of his hand, but before she can think further, Tsunagu calls out to her from below. Startled, she leaps off the fence and he catches her just in time. Without saying anything else, Tsunagu immediately walks away. When Mari finally reaches class, her friends greet her cheerfully. Thankfully, homeroom isn't over yet. However, she can't focus on anything, as her mind is still replaying the encounter with Tsunagu. She only snaps back to reality when the instructor enters the room again, but this time he is with Tsunagu. It turns out Tsunagu is the special status student the instructor mentioned earlier. He will be joining their class from now on. As he introduces himself, the room fills with whispers of unease. By coincidence, he is also assigned the seat right next to Mari, who remains frozen in shock. As Tsunagu sits down, he tries to greet Mari, while the instructor reminds the class to treat him with respect before continuing with the lesson. Mari, however, can't help but notice how massive Tsunagu is beside her. His broad frame blocks her view of the window completely. Throughout the day, the class still can't stop talking about him. Because of this, Mari grows increasingly annoyed. Even the students from other classes crowd outside their classroom just to catch a glimpse of Tsunagu. She tries to act indifferent, but the noise is distracting her. Then she suddenly remembers that she hasn't thanked him yet for catching her earlier. Just as she's about to speak, a classmate starts pestering Tsunagu, asking absurd questions about the nature of beast folk. The situation grows uncomfortable, so Yukihiro steps in to stop the behavior, even scolding him for being insensitive. They quickly apologize, and to everyone's surprise, Tsunagu stays calm. He even answers some of the earlier questions with patience. Because of this, Yukihiro immediately snaps at him, scolding him for being so casual and not showing any anger. Yukihiro then formally introduces himself, but Tsunagu only gives a brief reply. As their conversation continues, Mari completely loses the chance to thank him, so she turns away and heads over to her friends who have been calling her. As the day goes on, Mari notices Tsunagu's quiet nature, which only makes her more curious about him. On her way home, she reflects on how normal and repetitive her life has always been, following the same routine day after day, until Tsunagu's arrival suddenly changed the view from her window. Lost in thought, she happens to spot him on the road. A group of guys is standing in front of him, blocking his way. They mock him openly, refusing to let him pass. Though he clearly just wants to go home, their relentless teasing continues. Instead of reacting violently as they expect, Tsunagu calmly steps onto the bridge railing and walks along it to get past them. But just as he's about to step off the railing, Mari accidentally blocks his path. Startled, he loses his balance and tumbles into the river below. The guys panic and flee the scene. Mari runs down toward the riverbank, blaming herself for Tsunagu's fall. Minutes pass and she still doesn't see him resurface, so she assumes beast folk can't swim. Without hesitation, she throws off her backpack and dives into the water to save him. But before she even reaches him, Tsunagu manages to climb out on his own. Once on land, Tsunagu realizes Marvi jumped in to rescue him, thinking his fall was her fault. He isn't upset, but he is clearly more concerned about her risking her life for him. As they talk, Marvi finally gets the chance to thank him for catching her earlier that day. To her surprise, Tsunagu's tail begins to wag uncontrollably like a dog. He admits he isn't used to receiving gratitude from humans, so he becomes flustered. When asked about the earlier incident, Tsunagu explains that he tries to stay composed when people mock him because if he loses control, they'll only see him as a monster. He doesn't want that, so he chooses patience. Just as he finishes and is about to leave, he suddenly sneezes in front of Mari. With this, Mari brings Tsunagu home with her and explains the situation to her mother. At first, her mom feels uneasy about having a beast person in the house, but she eventually agrees to accommodate him. As they enter, Mari and her mom quietly discuss Tsunagu. However, their concerns ease when they see him innocently playing with their pet dog. Marvin notices how gentle and sensitive he seems, even more so than most humans. Later, as Tsunagu prepares to take off his uniform, Marvi suddenly barges in. When she realizes he hasn't taken off his uniform yet, she's about to leave, but to her shock, Tsunagu casually strips right in front of her, exposing his half-naked body. Flustered, Mari washes his clothes, but her eyes can't help but notice his physique. Though covered in fur, his body is quite ripped. When she fails to reach for the detergent on the top shelf, Tsunagu immediately steps in to help. They end up standing very close and their noses accidentally touch, creating an awkward moment. With that, Marvi quickly excuses herself, leaving Tsunagu alone to take a shower. Both Tsunagu and Marvi are unsettled by the moment their noses touch. Nonetheless, both of them have their hearts pounding like crazy because of that interaction. The next day, Marvi runs around with her pet dog, Yuki. After a while, they take a break and stop on their track. She cuddles Yuki in her arms, and when the dog's snout accidentally brushes her nose, she's instantly reminded of her encounter with Tsunagu from yesterday. Meanwhile, Tsunagu is also heading to school when one of his beast folk friends catches up to him, and soon more of them gather. They proceed to ask how school is going and check on him. He insists no one is bullying him, but they don't believe him. Surrounded by more of his kind, he finally snaps, telling them he has made up his mind about attending school for the next 3 years and doesn't need to be babied. After that, he walks away, shows his ID to the guards, and they open the gate, allowing him to leave for school. That day, during PE, the class plays basketball together, and Tsunagu proves to be exceptionally skilled. After the game, his classmates can't help but praise him, and even his teammates invite him to join the basketball team. However, beast folk are not allowed to participate in official school sports. Meanwhile, Mari is watching him from the sidelines and can't take her eyes off him at all. Just by seeing his form, she's already burning up, and her friends immediately notice her flustered expression. They suspect she's curious about him, though she tries to deny it. Their conversation gets cut short when the coach whistles to settle everyone down. Apparently, the opposing team lost, so they are furious after Tsunagu scored too many points against them, and they start talking badly about him. After that, as the other students begin to leave, Marvi stays behind to return some equipment. At the same time, Tsunagu happens to do the same. They end up casually talking about the previous day while walking into the storage room. Mari also mentions his basketball skills, and his ears twitch in embarrassment, which only makes her find him even more adorable. While she's lost in thought, a pile of sports equipment suddenly starts to fall toward her, and the storage room door slams shut. It turns out the opposing team from earlier is seeking revenge for their loss against Tsunagu, so they lock the two inside, leaving them trapped. Back in the classroom, a few students notice Tsunagu's absence and begin to wonder why he's late. At the same time, the boys who trapped them arrive to report to their accomplice. They laugh among themselves, even planning to throw away Tsunagu's textbooks while he's gone. In the storage room, Tsunagu quickly jumps in front of Mari, shielding her from the falling equipment. A support pole grazes his hand, but he ignores the pain and checks if she's alright. He then tries to open the door, only to confirm that the boys really did trap them inside. Concerned, Mari takes a handkerchief from her pocket and gently wraps it around his injured hand. While doing so, she notices once again how cold his hand is. Tsunagu explains that it's usually warm, but it gets cold at school because he feels nervous. As she tends to him, his tail starts wagging again. He admits he isn't used to being treated kindly since beast folk cities don't have hospitals or doctors for minor cases, and only those who are very sick are seen by professionals. This is why Tsunagu dreams of becoming a doctor. Yet, when he finally gets the chance to study, humans tend to bully him despite him doing nothing wrong. At this point, Mari feels pity for Tsunagu, so she gently holds his hand. She truly wants to help him. She explains that if he's always anxious, it might affect his studies, so she offers to help, even if it's just by keeping his hands warm. She wants to do this because she considers him her friend. But the moment she says it, she hurriedly tries to make excuses, but in her fluster, she steps on the pole and slips. Fortunately, Tsunagu reacts quickly and catches her. Now they're suddenly very close, and Mari can feel his fur against her skin. Hearing Mari call him a friend deeply touches Tsunagu. Mari tries to hold his hand once again, but now it's not as cold. Then something seems to get into Tsunagu. He starts sniffing around Mari, recognizing the sweet scent he also smelled from earlier. He comes closer and starts growling because of this. Then he starts sniffing her neck until Mari is completely slumped onto the floor. Tsunagu seems unable to control himself. Marve is terrified, but he is so strong that she cannot move. His growling also intensifies, so she braces herself, afraid he will eat her alive. Tsunagu snaps back to reality when Yukihiro calls out from outside the door. He tries to move it, but it's jammed, and Yukihiro's persistent voice finally brings Tsunagu to his senses, causing him to release Mari at last. Mari exhales heavily while Tsunagu wags his tail uncontrollably and bites his own arm while trembling. Seeing the blood, Mari rushes to check on him, but he stops her, only apologizing for frightening her earlier. Moments later, Yukihiro manages to force the door open, only to freeze at the sight of Mari being there as well. Without saying much, Tsunagu walks past him, thanking Yukihiro before leaving quietly. Mari remains, still shaken by what happened. For a moment, it truly felt like Tsunagu had become a beast, but deep down, the touch of his skin and tongue didn't unsettle her at all. Back in the classroom, Tsunagu sits slumped on the floor, still trying to calm himself after what happened. That sweet scent had overwhelmed him, driving him to lose control and act on impulses he couldn't fully understand. The pleasure he felt was frightening, and he knew he shouldn't have such emotions. Staring at his bleeding hand, Tsunagu reflects on how Mari had still tried to help him, caring more about his injury than her own safety. Meanwhile, as Yukihiro walks beside Mari, he notices her unusual silence and asks what happened inside the room. Though Yukihiro trusts that Tsunagu wouldn't harm anyone, the situation still worries him. With this, Mari quickly assures him that nothing bad happened, claiming her heart is just racing. After seeing Tsunagu in such a condition, she can no longer speak for him. So what she tells Yukihiro instead are her own feelings, admitting that Tsunagu might have already stolen her heart. To her surprise, Yukihiro doesn't overreact at all. In fact, he says it's a good thing. He then apologizes for making her admit her feelings so suddenly about Tsunagu. While Mari is still trying to compose herself, they suddenly spot Ochi and his companions outside, once again making a mess of Tsunagu's belongings. They're even betting on who can throw his textbooks the farthest. But before they can even act, Yukihiro jumps straight out the window and yells at them to stop. He confronts the group, demanding they apologize to Tsunagu for locking him in the storage room earlier. But Ochi and his friends are defiant. At that moment, Mari also jumps down to join Yukihiro. Ochi sneers at them, asking why they're taking Tsunagu's side. He argues that Tsunagu's varied presence disrupts the class's balance. Though his intelligence matches humans, his physical abilities far exceed theirs, which is exactly why they despise him. However, Yukihiro doesn't understand their fears at all. To him, having Tsunagu around makes life far more interesting, and even Mari agrees with this. Ever since Tsunagu arrived, her repetitive routine has changed completely. The thought excites her, as she feels she's changing too. Hearing this, Ochi glares at them and threatens that if they keep defending Tsunagu, they'll be treated the same way. He claims that once Tsunagu realizes how weak humans are, he'll end up eating them alive, which is why they have to get rid of him. With that, Ochi hurls one of Tsunagu's books toward the fence, but Mari leaps up and catches it midair while landing on top of the fence. Everyone is stunned by her sudden move, but the others start throwing more of Tsunagu's belongings. With only Mari and Yukihiro trying to stop them, it seems hopeless until Tsunagu appears, stepping in front of Mari and shielding her from the flying books. Tsunagu jumps down from the fence and walks straight toward Ochi. Ochi mocks him fearlessly, but Tsunagu corners him, threatening him with his growl. Even then, Ochi keeps provoking him until Tsunagu snaps back, telling him not to blame his own weakness on a beast folk. His words strike Ochi silent. Trying to play it off, Ochi shrugs and pretends to be bored before walking away, while his companions trail behind him. Yukihiro immediately praises Tsunagu for standing up for himself, but Tsunagu scolds them instead. He doesn't want them putting themselves in danger because of him, especially when he isn't around to protect them. Still, Mari steps forward to return his books, saying they're filled with his future, so she's glad she could protect them. More than that, she's happy she could do something meaningful for him beyond just warming his hands. With that, Tsunagu accepts the books and Yukihiro wraps his arm around Tsunagu's neck, assuring him that for the next 3 years, he'll always be there to defend him no matter what. Hearing those words, Tsunagu can't help but lift Yukihiro onto his back, carrying him with ease to express his joy. The two start teasing each other playfully, laughing together while Mari can only watch from the side, getting a bit jealous as Yukihiro touches Tsunagu's soft, fluffy fur. Tsunagu admits that among all the humans he's met, he considers Yukihiro and Mari the best. Mari, however, insists that there are plenty of humans who think like them. Hearing this, Yukihiro suddenly comes up with a plan, which is to show everyone how harmless Tsunagu really is so he can enjoy school like a normal student. Mari is thrilled with the idea, even though Tsunagu hasn't agreed with them yet. Still, faced with their eager eyes, he can't bring himself to refuse. As they start planning, Tsunagu insists on excluding Mari. Yukihiro is confused at first, But Tsunagu shows him the wound on his arm and recalls the incident in the storage room, admitting that he can't be around Mari safely. His words leave Mari heartbroken. Later in class, someone tosses a crumpled piece of paper toward Mari. When she opens it, it's a doodle of her and Tsunagu from Yukihiro. But even then, Mari can't stop thinking about Tsunagu's words. It pains her to know she might not be able to stay close to him anymore. After class, they head straight to Yukihiro's house to talk about Tsunagu's problem with Mari. As they settle in, two curious kids peek through the doorway, try and get a glimpse of Tsunagu. The moment his gaze meets theirs, they yelp in surprise, and Yukihiro quickly shoos them away before shutting the door. Finally, Tsunagu opens up. He tells them about the Forbidden Moon, also known as the Beast Folks mating season, which usually occurs between March and April, which is why their school year starts in May. During this time, beast folk experience symptoms including uncontrollable impulses, and even medicine can't suppress them, so it's something they must endure their whole lives. Yukihiro immediately connects this to what happened in the storage room, but Tsunagu shakes his head. He explains that he has never felt such impulses before. Since he's half human and half beast folk, he suspects his nature may be different. There's never been a recorded case of a product of a human and a beast folk, so they kept it secret. Mari can't help but find his story quite fascinating. With that, Yukihiro grows even more confused about what Tsunagu's real problem could be. Finally, Tsunagu confesses to pushing and pinning Mari down in the storage room and even reveals that he wanted to do more. Though he hasn't experienced the effects of the Forbidden Moon, he knows her scent makes him lose control, and he still doesn't know how to restrain himself. That's why he believes it's best to stay away from her to avoid hurting her again. While the two continue talking, Mari falls deep into thought, realizing that despite everything, she's relieved that Tsunagu's actions were only from instincts he couldn't control. Then, Yukihiro suddenly insists they should reenact the storage room scene, so he steps out and locks the door from the outside, leaving only Tsunagu and Mari trapped inside together. Tsunagu immediately panics, trying to talk to him and open the door, but it's sealed tight. Surprisingly, Mari agrees with Yukihiro's plan. After all, it could have been a one-time mistake. Mari decides they need to assess Tsunagu so they know where to draw the line between them. At that moment, Yukihiro finally understands that Mari truly wants to be with Tsunagu, otherwise she wouldn't have said he stole her heart. Suddenly, a loud thump comes from inside. It turns out Tsunagu has already pinned Mari against the door. He scares her off by saying that he might crush and eat her alive, but Mari does not give up so easily, so Tsunagu releases her, moved by how willingly she wants to help. Yukihiro grows anxious as well, and Tsunagu instructs him that if he ever hears him start to growl, he should stop him immediately. With that, the two inside begin their experiment. They start with a simple handshake, holding each other's hands for quite some time, but Tsunagu remains calm and composed, showing no signs of losing control. Seeing this, Mari suggests they try something else. Perhaps he could touch her head instead. Inside, Mari's heartbeat races. Tsunagu's hand is warm, yet he starts struggling to remain calm. Suddenly, she asks if she can touch him too, and he agrees. As soon as her fingers brush against his fluffy fur, she's instantly captivated. She accidentally tickles him, making them both flinch. Tsunagu admits that he can still smell the faint sweetness of her scent, but it's weaker now, and he can still control himself. With this, Tsunagu's trembling hand reaches to touch her neck. Mari stiffens at this, but she doesn't move away. His hand grows warmer as he pets her gently, until he suddenly starts trembling uncontrollably. Tsunagu feels off even when he's just behaving normally, so he lets go of Mari. But as soon as he lets go, he grabs her aggressively once again, embracing her in his arms. Deep down, Mari knows she loves Tsunagu now, but then Tsunagu starts growling. He pins Mari down on the bed and starts sniffing around her. Mari tries her best to calm down, thinking Tsunagu will be able to control himself, but the growling only intensifies. Hearing this, Yukihiro is about to open the door, but the sound Tsunagu is making scares the kids, so they try to stop him from going in. Inside, Tsunagu is already starting to tear at Mari's uniform, while Mari tries to think what might have caused his behavior, suspecting that maybe it's because she got too drawn to him. Soon, Tsunagu is smelling her entire body and biting it gently. He smells the scent growing sweeter. Looking at her, Tsunagu feels torn as he doesn't want to hurt Mari, yet he can't suppress his growing desire either. He keeps sniffing around her, and Mari realizes how things might end if this continues, so she quickly acts, pushing Tsunagu away. She calls out to him, pleading for him to calm down and reassuring him that he can restrain himself until her voice finally reaches him, and Tsunagu regains control. Just then, Yukihiro also bursts through the door, finding Mari covering herself with Tsunagu's coat while Tsunagu faces the wall, clearly distressed. Yukihiro hurriedly asks if they figured out what triggers his reaction, but Tsunagu scolds him for being so late, prompting an apologetic bow from him. Afterward, Yukihiro checks on both of them. Mari recalls what happened and explains that Tsunagu tried his best to fight his instincts. Regardless, they conclude that as long as they keep a safe distance and communicate normally, nothing serious should occur. But deep down, Mari knows his symptoms are bound to resurface no matter what. When asked if they can still be a trio, Tsunagu hesitates, afraid he might hurt Mari again. Still recalling Mari's words to him, he begins to hope that he can learn to control himself. Though he doesn't want to risk putting Mari in danger, he also refuses to run away from her, so they agree to continue spending time together at school. However, Tsunagu sternly warns Yukihiro not to pull such a dangerous stunt again. That night, while taking a bath, Mari can't help but wonder if she's truly the reason Tsunagu keeps losing control. She considers whether it might be her voice or her attitude that triggers him. Yet every time she thinks of him, her heart stirs and her cheeks grow warm. Forcing herself to calm down, Mari reminds herself not to let her emotions show, otherwise Tsunagu might end up suffering again. When she steps out of the bath, she overhears her father talking about the increasing number of beast folk in his workplace. Her mother immediately comes to their defense, but Mari stays quiet. She opens the fridge, grabs a drink, and retreats to her room. Lying on her bed, her thoughts circle endlessly around Tsunagu. There aren't many human establishments that allow beast folk to work. It almost feels as if they belong to a different world. Mari wonders if being in a relationship with one would be seen the same way. Though beast folk think and feel like humans, their instincts are different. So Mari convinces herself that falling in love with one must be unacceptable. Just then, her phone beeps. It's a message from their trio's group chat. Yukihiro invites them to lunch tomorrow, and Tsunagu quickly confirms. Mari's heart skips a beat at the sight of his reply. Gathering her courage, she decides to send Tsunagu a private message instead of replying in the group. It's a simple goodnight, but her fingers tremble as she presses send. At that moment, Tsunagu is studying when her message appears on his screen. The single word makes his tail wag uncontrollably. It's only been a few days since he left the walls, yet so much has already changed. Glancing around his room, he blushes as memories of Mari surface. Her voice, her concern, the way she helps him regain control whenever he loses composure. Still, he reminds himself that she's human, and he must not forget that. The next day in class, Ayano drops her notebook, and Mari quickly picks it up for her. She's about to start a conversation when Ritsuka arrives, holding a muffin and inviting them to share it. But Mari already has plans. Yukihiro is calling her from across the room for their lunch together. When Mari turns to her friends, they're already eating, watching her suspiciously. She tries to invite them to eat on the rooftop, but they refuse, saying they don't want to be around Tsunagu. Still, Ritsuka hands her a bag of muffins to take along. Surprisingly, they don't seem angry about her spending time with him, just curious about why she's so interested. Ritsuka even teases her, asking for all the romantic details. Flustered, Mari denies it and quickly walks away. Once she's gone, Ritsuka sighs, uneasy about Mari's behavior. Ayano shrugs it off and hands Ritsuka her notebook, asking her to read the story she wrote. Ritsuka teases her for still writing by hand, making Ayano snatch it back. Meanwhile, on the rooftop, the trio discusses how Tsunagu can better integrate into their class. It's not something that can happen overnight, so they decide to take it slow. Tsunagu seems uncertain about such a simple plan, but Yukihiro lightens the mood by joking that he could push Tsunagu around school in a cart, an idea Tsunagu immediately rejects. As the two banter, Mari finds her gaze drifting towards Tsunagu. She can't help but admire his features, wondering how he manages to eat so neatly despite his sharp teeth. When he suddenly looks up and catches her staring, Mari quickly averts her eyes, insisting it's nothing. Later, as they share their food, Yukihiro groans in frustration. He's struggling with a lesson he can't grasp. With the proficiency test coming up, failure could cost him his spot in the sports club. To their surprise, Tsunagu understands the material easily, so he spends the rest of the break patiently tutoring both Yukihiro and Mari. That's when they realize just how intelligent he truly is. When the test day arrives, the class focuses intently on their papers. Once the results are posted, everyone rushes to the bulletin board, and to everyone's surprise, Tsunagu takes the top spot. Both Yukihiro and Mari are stunned. Yukihiro manages to pass, and Mari's rank improves thanks to Tsunagu's tutoring. Watching from a distance, Aochi hisses in frustration and storms off. Meanwhile, Ayano, usually the top student, finds herself in second place. When Mari approaches to congratulate her, Ayano shoves her hand away. In a bitter voice, she mutters that beast folk should just disappear. Mari freezes as Ayano turns and walks off, leaving her and Yukihiro speechless. Later on the rooftop, the trio meets for lunch again. When Yukihiro and Mari congratulate Tsunagu, he tilts his head in confusion, unaware of what they mean. They realize he hasn't even checked the results yet. At the same time, Ritsuka stands before the bulletin board staring at Ayano's name, one spot below the top. Concern flashes across her face as she recalls their childhood. Back in elementary school, Ayano's mother always praised her for being number one, though Ayano never cared about grades, only about writing stories. But her mother never acknowledged that side of her, valuing academic success above all. Ritsuko was the first to ever show interest in her stories, and that moment had changed everything. Snapping back to the present, Ritsuko tries to call Ayano, but her phone lies forgotten on her desk. Downstairs, Mari leads Tsunagu and Yukihiro to the bulletin board so he can see his rank. Contrary to Mari's excitement, Tsunagu remains calm and unreadable. He doesn't seem to care at all. Just then, Ritsuko rushes up, asking if they've seen Ayano. None of them has, though Mari recalls how strange Ayano seemed earlier. Concerned, Ritsuko hands Ayano's phone to Tsunagu, pleading for him to track her scent because she says he's the reason Ayano disappeared. Tsunagu looks puzzled, so Ritsuko explains that Ayano might have run off because he took the top spot. Meanwhile, Ayano stands on the rooftop, climbing the wired fence. She's always dreamed of becoming a novelist, but her parents only allowed it as long as she remained number one in class. Now that she's second, that fragile permission is gone. Realizing this, Ritsuko fears the worst. Mari tries to defend Tsunagu, but Ritsuko's panic only grows. Desperate to help, Tsunagu finally agrees. He sniffs Ayano's phone and follows her scent up to the rooftop. When they arrive, they find Ayano standing on top of the fence. Ritsuko runs forward, tears in her eyes, wrapping her arms around her in fear. But Ayano isn't planning to jump. She's throwing her notebooks away, saying that since she's no longer allowed to write, there's no reason to keep them. Shaking with relief and anger, Ritsuko yells that she still hasn't finished reading Ayano's latest story. The two argue, and Mari spots one of the notebooks stuck on a ledge below. She points it out, and Tsunagu offers to retrieve it. Mari hesitates, unsure how Ayano will react, but she finally agrees. After all, Ayano never stopped writing despite everything, and Mari wants to read her stories too. Without hesitation, Tsunagu climbs over the fence, leaps down, and retrieves the fallen notebook. Holding it out to Ayano, he asks if he can read it as well. Later that day in the art room, the group carefully mends the torn pages together. As they read, they discover it's a mystery novel, and they become absorbed in the story. Watching them, Ayano's eyes well up. Finally, she apologizes for what she said about beast folk. Ritsuko bows her head too, regretting that she wasn't more understanding. Ayano admits she only said those hurtful things out of fear that her parents would stop her from writing altogether. Hearing this, Tsunagu gently tells her to ignore the voices that deny her and listen instead to those that believe in her friends. As he speaks, Tsunagu's tail brushes lightly against Mari, making her blush as she realizes she may be helping him more than she thought. Ritsuko nods in agreement, saying she loves Ayano's stories and doesn't want her to waste her talent. She even jokes about helping her convince her strict parents. Moved by their support, Ayano finally understands how much her friends value her and her passion. When Tsunagu and Mari prepare to leave, Ritsuko thanks them again. Mari proudly praises Tsunagu and Ritsuko agrees, calling him amazing. Mari secretly feels happy. After all, her goal has always been to show everyone that Tsunagu is a good person. But Ritsuko's grin turns mischievous as she teases Mari for acting so nervous around him. Mari denies it, flustered, while Tsunagu looks on in confusion. As they walk off, Ritsuko leans close and whispers to Mari that she should just ask him out already. As the day ends, Mari walks home beside Yukihiro, telling him everything that happened at lunch. A flicker of disappointment crosses his face when he realizes he wasn't part of it. Pretending to sulk, he sighs dramatically, but Mari reassures him that it was all possible because of his idea, making him smile again. Feeling flustered, Yukihiro pats her head out of habit, then freezes. Realizing what he's done, he stammers that he's just used to doing that for his little brothers. Mari laughs, and for a moment, he wants to say something but holds back. Instead, he picks up the trash, saying he'll take it out before heading to practice. As she watches him leave, Mari can't help but wonder what he's hiding. It's not the first time he stopped himself mid-sentence, and she grows curious about what he truly wants to say, unaware that the only question in Yukihiro's mind is whether she likes Tsunagu. On her way home, Mari spots Tsunagu waiting outside. He's been standing there to walk her home. As they stroll down the street, Tsunagu mentions his recent checkup. Nothing unusual, except that he remains unaffected by the forbidden moon. Still, he must learn to control his emotions. When the light turns red, they stop at the crossing. Mari feels a pang of sympathy for him, but Tsunagu admits he already expected this once he began feeling drawn to someone, and he's glad that person happens to be Mari. His words make her heart flutter. Suddenly, it begins to rain. Mari realizes Tsunagu is shielding her with his body. She tries to step aside so he won't get soaked, but he moves even closer. Mari freezes, overwhelmed by his closeness, struggling to hide her emotions. Suvan bystanders begin whispering, assuming she's being harassed by a beast folk. Mari quickly takes Tsunagu's hand to show she's not in danger. When the light turns green, she gently pulls him forward, urging him to stay confident they're not doing anything wrong. As they walk, Mari realizes how deeply attached she's become to him, though part of her still wonders if she should allow these feelings to grow. When it's time to part ways, she remembers Ritsuka's advice and gathers her courage. With a pounding heart, she asks Tsunagu if they can go out on Saturday. Tsunagu's face brightens. He thinks it's a great idea, but casually adds that the three of them can go together, leaving Mari stunned. The next day, the trio plans to go out and spend the weekend together. However, Yukihiro admits he cannot join them since he needs to practice as the basketball team selections are approaching. Though he encourages the other two to have fun, Mari begins to suspect he is purposely giving her and Tsunagu time alone. Tsunagu, however, insists that Yukihiro come along, but Yukihiro explains that his sudden growth spurt is affecting his coordination. Wanting to help, Tsunagu decides they should practice instead, and Yukihiro agrees. While Mari drifts into thought, Yukihiro calls her over, inviting her to join them. The three head to the school gym, where Tsunagu patiently guides Yukihiro as Mari watches. Yukihiro struggles to make his shots despite Tsunagu's advice, prompting the two to discuss ways to improve. Mari observes them with admiration, as it makes her realize how close they all seem. After a while, Yukihiro finally makes the shot, leaving him stunned. After finding the right rhythm, Tsunagu gives him a few more pointers, and they keep practicing until he perfects his form. In between their game, Mari suddenly speaks up, saying she wants Yukihiro to join them for their weekend hangout. Hearing it directly from her makes him pause. Encouraged by her words, he promises to come with them after his match. Soon, a group of upperclassmen suddenly interrupts them, claiming that beast folk are not allowed in the sports club and ordering Tsunagu to leave the court. Yukihiro immediately steps forward to defend him, explaining that it is lunchtime and they are simply having fun as friends, not participating in any official team activity. The commotion quickly draws attention from others nearby, and whispers begin to spread about Tsunagu's presence. Even Mari grows uncertain whether the upperclassmen are merely reprimanding them or subtly mocking both Yukihiro and Tsunagu. Still, Yukihiro refuses to back down. Calmly, he throws the ball into the ring, which silences the boys. With determination, he remarks that he has been practicing all season to improve, so if they won't let him play with Tsunagu, they might as well teach him themselves. At that moment, Yanagi, the team's ace player, wraps an arm around Yukihiro's shoulders, grinning as he declares he wants to join and play with Tsunagu. With that being said, they decide to hold an impromptu match, with the first years against the third years in a 3-versus-3 game. After the match is arranged, Yukihiro apologizes to Tsunagu for dragging him into this sudden challenge, but Tsunagu simply says that no one deserves to be mocked, so he doesn't mind. Mari also believes it's a great opportunity to show everyone how capable Yukihiro truly is. The three place their hands together, vowing to give their best in the game. As the game begins, the third years quickly take the lead. Despite having Tsunagu's skill, the first years are at a disadvantage, with Mari struggling to keep up. Midway through the game, she loses her footing but manages to pass the ball to Tsunagu just in time. From that moment, Tsunagu shines, moving with remarkable speed and scoring several points while supporting both Mari and Yukihiro. The crowd starts to cheer as the first years close the gap. Near the end, Yukihiro's focus falters, giving the opponents a chance to tease him again. But before the taunts can sink in, Tsunagu intercepts the ball and passes it to him. Remembering their practice, Yukihiro takes a shot. The ball soars cleanly through the air and lands in the ring, earning the final point as the crowd stands frozen in shock. In the end, the third years win, but the score remains close with only a 3-point difference. Despite the loss, everyone enjoys the game, and Yanagi praises Yukihiro, saying he looks forward to playing alongside him on the basketball team. The words fill Yukihiro with determination, and Yanagi jokingly tells his teammates that they can't mock him anymore, as they've already played with the Beast Guy themselves. As they head back, the group chats about the match. Their opponents still tease them for losing, but mix their mockery with genuine compliments. Yukihiro recalls noticing how, during the game, the upperclassmen's attitude shifted once they saw how skilled Tsunagu was. Mari reminds Yukihiro to acknowledge his own efforts. Even though he insists that Tsunagu carried most of the shots, Mari knows he played an important part as well. Her words leave Yukihiro stunned. Tsunagu suddenly catches a faint scent from him, but chooses to ignore it as Yukihiro quickly brushes Mari aside and runs off. Confused, Mari turns to Tsunagu, wondering if she said something wrong. She insists she only wanted to cheer him up since she didn't feel she contributed much to the game. So Tsunagu simply assures her he only smelled embarrassment coming from Yukihiro earlier. Afterwards, Tsunagu notices Mari limping slightly, her foot clearly injured, though she tries to deny it. She plans to go to the infirmary, so Tsunagu lifts her onto his back, insisting it will only get worse if she walks. Mari's heart immediately races as she feels the warmth of his fur and the sway of his tail. Despite trying to stay calm, the closeness makes her cheeks flush with happiness she struggles to hide. As they move, Tsunagu's breathing grows uneven and a soft growl escapes him. Quickly, he lowers Mari back to the ground, intending to let her walk the rest of the way. But before he can step back, Mari reaches out and pulls him closer. Overwhelmed by the moment, Tsunagu instinctively leads her into the nearby science prep room. There, the tension finally breaks as they fall into a quiet embrace. Tsunagu mutters an apology, but Mari understands they both simply acted on their feelings. Hearing Mari's words only fuels the heat within Tsunagu. Unable to resist, he pulls her closer and presses his lips against hers. But Mari struggles faintly to break free, his grip tightens. For a brief moment, he nearly loses control, but then he catches sight of her innocent face and crashes back to reality. Tsunagu forces himself to stop, breathing heavily as he steps away, urging her to head to the infirmary before leaving. As Mari remains behind, she starts to wonder why she couldn't control herself better, why she let her feelings carry her so far. Love, she realizes, makes it difficult to stay sensible, and no matter how hard she tries, she can't deny how deeply she feels for him. Back in class, Tsunagu's mind replays the moment again. He knows he should have restrained himself, yet the memory of Mari's sweetness lingers. Despite his guilt, her presence was simply too overwhelming for him to resist. Meanwhile, Yukihiro notices that Mari still hasn't returned, making him uneasy. Her earlier words about them being friends replay in his mind as she had said it so sweetly. Just remembering her voice makes his face warm, and he realizes that if this continues, he might end up falling for her. When Mari finally returns to class, Ritsuka immediately greets her, asking where she's been. Mari explains she went to the infirmary, and Ritsuka happily tells her she took notes in her absence. Hearing this, Yukihiro approaches her to ask what happened, but Mari quickly reassures him that it's nothing serious. Relieved, he simply tells her to speak up if she feels unwell again. As everyone settles into their seats, Tsunagu quietly checks on Mari as well, though his tone remains cold. As night falls, Yukihiro messages their group chat to finalize plans for their weekend hangout. However, they soon discover that beast folk like Tsunagu have limited access to places outside when it's not school days, which frustrates everyone. Reading the messages, Mari feels a pang of guilt for him. Her thoughts drift back to their earlier kiss, and she buries her face in her pillow. Thinking back, Mari has always tried to act normal around Tsunagu, hiding her feelings. Yet the more she tries to suppress them, the stronger they grow. When she glances back at the chat, they all agree that the only places they can freely visit are the school grounds and the library. Just then, Yuki suddenly shows up in front of Mari, so she remembers the dog run beside the library. The next morning, they arrive at the dog run, surrounded by playful dogs that instantly amaze both Yukihiro and Tsunagu. While the two talk, Mari soon arrives with Yuki, prompting Yukihiro to greet her cheerfully. Tsunagu, on the other hand, mentions that it's nice to see Yuki again. When Yukihiro curiously asks if they've met before, Tsunagu explains that he once dropped by Mari's place, which causes Yukihiro to look at both of them suspiciously. As Tsunagu plays with Yuki, Mari quietly watches him with admiration. The people around them start whispering, and many comment on how adorable and fluffy he looks. To everyone's surprise, Tsunagu quickly becomes the center of attention, and even he seems a little embarrassed by it. While roaming around, Mari bumps into her friend Midori, who remarks about her being with a beast person. Misunderstanding her sentence, Mari instantly grows defensive, but Midori only smiles, explaining that she was once saved by a beast person in a tunnel. Like Mari, she finds them kind and fascinating. As the day goes on, the trio plays freely in the dog run. Yukihiro comments on how nice it feels to hang out somewhere peaceful for a change, and Tsunagu agrees with him. When both Mari and Tsunagu start calling for Yuki, however, Yukihiro feels slightly awkward as their shouts sound a bit too much like his own name. With that being said, they decide to start calling each other by their first names. Mari feels nervous about it at first, but Yukihiro encourages her to say his name out loud, and so she does. When it's Tsunagu's turn, she becomes unexpectedly excited to call him by his first name, but to her dismay, Tsunagu says he'd rather keep addressing her by her last name. This leaves Mari speechless, unsure how to respond. Just then, Yuki tugs at Yukihiro's leg, and Mari assumes he's thirsty. Yukihiro offers to help her fetch water, so he carries the dog and heads off by himself. Left alone, Tsunagu quietly apologizes for the kiss, but Mari only admits that she also wanted him close, which is why he reacted that way. After a moment's hesitation, she confesses the truth, that she wants Tsunagu even more than just as a friend, which is why deep down she was happy when he kissed her. Tsunagu gently pulls Mari aside, leading her to the back corner of the library where no one can overhear them. Hesitantly, she admits she feels like she's only causing him trouble and thinks it would be better to keep her distance, even if it means staying just friends. To her surprise, Tsunagu confesses he feels the same. In that space, they share a bittersweet moment. Both know they care deeply for each other, yet reality stands in their way. Tsunagu pulls Mari close, admitting that he wishes they could live as normal human students, but they both know such a future is impossible. Meanwhile, outside, Yukihiro returns from fetching water, only to discover that Mari and Tsunagu are nowhere to be found. At the back of the library, Tsunagu begins to growl softly, forcing himself to release Margit from his arms. He knows they can never be like ordinary lovers, yet Mari refuses to stop loving him. Unlike Tsunagu, who has already accepted the weight of others' judgment, she still holds on to hope. Mari believes that in time people will learn to understand and accept them. For now, she decides to keep her distance. Still in her heart, she swears their bond will remain like an invisible thread connecting her to him. Hearing her words, Tsunagu feels his heart tighten as if Mari has broken through the walls built around it. Her sincerity is something so precious he wants to protect. Though they both wish to keep loving each other, reality pulls them back, reminding them they need to return. They promise to act as if nothing happened, to keep things normal between them. Yet before leaving, Mari asks for one last hug, knowing they might never share such closeness again. Instead, Tsunagu gently tilts her chin and kisses her softly on the lips. Neither of them realizes that Yukihiro is nearby, hidden behind a tree, silently witnessing everything unfold before his eyes. When they return, Yukihiro immediately bombards them with questions, but Mari quickly says she just went to the restroom, while Tsunagu explains he bought a drink. Despite this, Yukihiro playfully pretends to be hurt, making Mari realize they still can't reveal the truth about her and Tsunagu. As it's time to head home, Tsunagu and Yukihiro walk together while Mari goes a different way with Yuki. While walking, Mari reflects on everything that's happened. She still can't believe Tsunagu likes her back and that they even kissed. The memory leaves her restless, her emotions swirling uncontrollably. Meanwhile, Tsunagu and Yukihiro walk together, chatting about their day at the dog run. Suddenly, Yukihiro asks if Tsunagu and Mari are dating. When Tsunagu inquires whether he saw everything, Yukihiro admits he only witnessed a few moments and didn't hear anything they said. With that, Tsunagu confirms that he and Mari shared their feelings with each other, but he emphasizes that they are not dating. For Tsunagu, making promises to Mari feels complicated, and Yukihiro immediately understands the weight of the situation. As a beast person, Tsunagu faces limitations that Yukihiro cannot resolve. However, Yukihiro admits that the idea of them kissing irritates him. Surprisingly, Tsunagu senses Yukihiro's emotions through his scent, causing Yukihiro to flush with embarrassment while also admiring the beast folk's incredible sensitivity. His confession leaves Tsunagu drifting into thought, reflecting on how normal it would seem for Yukihiro and Mari to be together compared to him, yet he refuses to give Yukihiro that position. Despite this, Yukihiro admits he doesn't intend to confess his feelings to Mari. All he wants is to enjoy high school with them and not become Tsunagu's rival. Even though he genuinely likes Mari, he also deeply considers Tsunagu's emotions. Frustrated by Yukihiro holding back, Tsunagu lightly hits him on the head, insisting he shouldn't restrain himself because of him. He wants Yukihiro to pursue Mari, even if it means getting pissed off at him. Tsunagu has no intention of stepping aside, and he refuses to continue hanging out knowing Yukihiro is suppressing his feelings. For a moment, Yukihiro reflects on Tsunagu's words. He realizes that acting on his feelings could make them rivals. Laughing, he suddenly runs and jumps towards Tsunagu. Arriving home, Tsunagu is invited to dinner by his mother, but he decides to take a bath first, and his mind wanders to thoughts of his parents. He recalls the whispers from others about him being born to a beast person and a human, and how his parents always smiled through it, ignoring the gossip around them. Yet here he is struggling to control his desires and worrying about what might happen if Yukihiro were to witness them. Just then, a goodnight message from Mari arrives, but he responds coldly. The next morning, Mari arrives at school a little too early, overwhelmed by anxiety. To her surprise, Tsunagu is already in the classroom. He greets her with a calm "good morning," but her voice cracks in response. She tries to act normal, sharing her homework to compare answers, yet with just a single word from Tsunagu, Mari crumbles all over again. Tsunagu only laughs softly at this, realizing how difficult it is to act normal around Mari. She admits she can't focus, so he gently holds her hand and tells her not to push herself. He reassures her that it's okay to express her feelings, even if it burdens him. From now on, Tsunagu promises to restrain himself. He knows that loving each other freely might be painful and challenging, but he refuses to stop liking her. Determined, he vows to do his best so they can openly share their love without fear or hesitation. In preparation for the sports festival, the class scrambles to finish their team's props and decorations. Some of the girls are thrilled to team up with the upperclassmen, chatting excitedly about who they'll get to cheer for, while Ritsuka complains about how hot and humid it's going to be. This prompts Ayano to remind her that the festival is the only time of year when you can openly cheer for the person you like as much as you want. Meanwhile, Mari grows teary-eyed from nerves, afraid she'll slow everyone down during the relay. Suddenly, Yukihiro calls out to her, asking if she knows anyone from the Handicrafts Club who could help the cheering squad with decorations. The two immediately look confused as he just called her by her first name. While Tsunagu is busy carrying heavy boxes, Marvi checks the cheering outfit, and the others grow even more curious when she uses Yukihiro's first name to address him too. With that, Ritsuka suddenly hooks her arm around Mari's neck, declaring that she needs to borrow her. When the three are finally alone, Ritsuka wastes no time asking what's going on between Mari and Yukihiro, assuming they're dating. Mari quickly denies it, but Ritsuka only smirks, saying she figured as much since Mari clearly has a thing for Tsunagu, but Mari denies that too. Mari herself isn't sure how to explain what they are, as she and Tsunagu like each other, but they aren't dating. There's something in between, more than friends but not lovers, and they can't even relax around each other without worrying about what others might think. This prompts Ritsuka to apologize and comfort her, while Ayano assures Mari that they'll still be cheering for her. Just then, a classmate walks over carrying a box, announcing that it's time to draw names for the three-legged race. Normally, the girls draw the boys' names, but this time it's reversed. As they pick their slips, Yukihiro ends up drawing Mari's name while Tsunagu pulls someone else's. Tsunagu notices this but quickly hides his reaction when Mari approaches, forcing them both to slit the papers into their pockets. On the other hand, Ochi's friends gossip about how Tsunagu seems to be fitting in well now. They tell Ochi to mess with him and his friends again, but Ochi unexpectedly tells them he's already over it and even scolds them for relying on him for everything. Frustrated, the two walk away. On their way home, Mari's heart races faster as being alone with Tsunagu makes her want to hold his hand, but before she can, he leans closer and asks if she's feeling alright. When she admits she's just embarrassed, Tsunagu laughs, finding her reaction cute, which only makes her blush harder. As they continue walking, they talk about the upcoming sports festival. Marvi learns it will be Tsunagu's first time participating, as beast folk don't usually have such events. Excited, she tells him she's looking forward to it with him, but Tsunagu falls silent, remembering the draw lots earlier when Yukihiro pulled out her name. Then he takes something out of his bag, a new handkerchief. He explains he bought it to replace the one he stained with blood before. When she asks if he picked it out himself, Tsunagu only wags his tail, which already answers her question. Marvi smiles softly as Tsunagu pats her head while people pass by them on the street. Then he brushes his tail against her cheek, making her flinch from surprise. Marta can't help but grab his tail as they start running across the road together, pretending she's just practicing how to hold the baton for the relay. The next day at the sports festival, everyone is having fun participating in the games. Mari and her friends watch from the sidelines as it's time for the race where Tsunagu is competing. She knows how much he runs, but the other teams still complain about him joining, though the decision was already approved. From afar, Marvi cheers for him. Besides Tsunagu, Ochi grumbles loudly, wishing for Tsunagu's downfall and even threatening to trip him. Still, Tsunagu doesn't back down. He simply points out that he's only racing for fun, especially since everyone else backed out. Seeing Oshi's irritated face makes Marvi and Yukihiro laugh quietly. As the two cheer for Tsunagu, he glances their way and gestures playfully at Marvi before the race begins. The moment it starts, Tsunagu dashes forward with incredible speed, leaving the audience stunned. He creates a massive gap between himself and the other runners, crossing the finish line almost instantly, which even the stopwatch can't catch his time. As he sits down to rest, the overwhelming cheers echo loudly in his sharp ears, so Mari rushes over with a towel and gently covers them, congratulating him on his win and assuring him that everyone's just cheering for him. Still, she advises him to seal his ears properly. When it's time for the three-legged race, Mari heads off to prepare, but before she leaves, Tsunagu calls out to wish her luck. Soon after, faint whispers reach him again as people start gossiping that Mari is flirting with him even though they are supposed to be a trio, so he simply tightens the seal over his ears once more. The next game is about to start, so Yukihiro calls out to Mari for them to start preparing. Yukihiro bends down to tie their legs together while also assuring her they'll do great. However, Mari seems distracted as her gaze is still wandering towards Tsunagu, who is now chatting with Ritsuka. Noticing this, Yukihiro suddenly pulls her closer to him, saying she should focus on him and nowhere else. After all, he's been looking forward to this event since being paired with her. When the race begins, they take off in perfect rhythm with Yukihiro's arm wrapped securely around her shoulders, crossing the finish line first. Breathless, Yukihiro quickly congratulates her, and they share a high five that causes their hands to touch. Then he thanks her for matching his movements so well. At that moment, Marty realizes that what he said earlier was meant purely about the race and not her feelings, so her cheeks burn with embarrassment. However, the audience starts whispering again when they see Tsunagu and Tauri at the starting line. Their height difference is quite huge, and it's obvious Tauri is nervous because she's smaller, slower, and being paired with a beast person makes her even more self-conscious. Feeling her unease, Tsunagu gently tells her to just run her own pace and to lean her weight on him if needed. Though hesitant, Tauri nods and agrees. As the race begins, Tsunagu wraps his arm around her to steady their rhythm, which makes Mari feel slightly uneasy. But as they continue running, Tauri gradually relaxes, realizing Tsunagu's pace naturally matches hers. Soon, they cross the finish line in 4th place, and Tauri beams with joy as it's her first time ever placing in the competition. In that moment, she realizes how kind Tsunagu truly is. The next game is the cheering competition, and Mari heads to their classroom to grab her spare towel when she accidentally bumps into Ochi. Ochi's friends, trailing behind, immediately call her the Beast Guy's chick and start teasing her as if hinting at something, but Ochi quickly interrupts them as they need to talk to him, so they leave and Mari is left confused. After getting the towel, she peers out the window at the cheering squad, only for Tsunagu to suddenly appear and call out to her. He had stepped away from the crowd because of the noise. As they watch the cheering squad together, Mari points out the decorations Tsunagu made for them, and their conversation naturally shifts to his experience at the festival. Tsunagu admits he's enjoying himself since he likes being active, while Mari confesses she felt a twinge of jealousy during the 3-legged race. Though happy to see Tsunagu fitting in at school, she also wishes she had been the one paired with him. In response, Tsunagu closes the curtain and pulls her into a hug. There, he admits he feels the same way toward her. Though they feel the same thing, Tsunagu admits his feelings are a bit impure, especially because he can still smell Yukihiro's scent lingering on Mari after the 3-legged race. It bothers him more than he wants to admit, and he leans in closer, unable to calm down. Mari doesn't realize Tsunagu can pick up other people's scents on her. But when he brushes against her with his snout, they are so close that Mari begins to worry someone might walk in and see them in such a compromising position. With that, Mari quickly stops him. Just then, echoes from outside reveal it's suddenly raining, and students rush under the tents for shelter. Tsunagu apologizes for touching her, but Mari quickly shakes her head as if it's nothing. As they walk back, Mari reflects on how surprising it is to learn that another person's scent can stick to her. This is something she can't sense, but clearly makes Tsunagu anxious. A part of her wants to ask him to wipe that scent away completely, yet she quietly holds herself back. Arriving at the tent, the students are already scrambling to find a replacement for the relay, so Mari calls out to Ritsuka and asks why everyone seems so worried. Ritsuka explains that Ochi tripped and sprained his ankle, which means he can't participate as the relay anchor, so now they urgently need someone to fill in. Mari looks at Ochi's injury, wondering how he managed to sprain his ankle. He's also covered in dirt, which makes her recall how fine he looked when they ran into each other earlier, and she starts to feel suspicious. Meanwhile, the team keeps discussing possible solutions. No one wants to take the anchor position, making it even harder to find a replacement. A few classmates suggest that Yukihiro step up, but he immediately refuses. To make it worse, the coach approaches and announces it's almost time, yet they still haven't chosen an anchor. The class begs for more time while bawling their eyes out. Then, Tauri shyly raises her hand and suggests that Tsunagu could take the anchor position instead. Everyone stares at her in surprise, but the idea quickly starts to make sense. When they asked Tsunagu if he's okay with it, he doesn't refuse and even jokes that he can do it if they don't mind taking first place. His confidence draws loud support from his classmates, who admire just how reliable he is. With this, their classmates begin agreeing that Tsunagu should be the anchor, while the coach reaches out to the other teams to negotiate the idea. Soon, cheers fill their tent for Tsunagu, but Mari's eyes drift toward Ochi, who is sitting silently in a corner. She approaches him and asks how he sprained his foot. Ochi says that after they separated in the hallway, those two beat him up. Mari is immediately startled, but Ochi quickly follows up, saying he's just joking. Still, Mari can't tell whether he really is joking or not. Ochi clearly doesn't want to talk further and urges her to line up for the relay already. Before she leaves, Mari reminds him not to hide his pain alone, and he is left reflecting on her words. When the relay begins, murmurs about a beast guy running spread among the other teams. They accuse their team of cheating, but since the matter has already been settled, all the other teams can do now is complain endlessly about Tsunagu. Tsunagu is still unsure about their decision, but the entire class has already agreed to make him the anchor, and everyone keeps cheering his name. Yukihiro and Mari also stay beside him, giving him quiet encouragement to push through with the relay. When the race begins, the opposing team continues to complain loudly about Tsunagu, accusing their class of cheating. Mari hears every word and starts worrying that all this noise might be affecting him. But before she can dwell on it, Yukihiro begins closing in to hand her the baton. Mari grips it tightly and dashes forward with all her strength while her classmates are shouting support from behind. Hearing their voices rise, she feels certain that their cheers are reaching Tsunagu as well. As Mari closes in, she spots Tsunagu waiting at the end of the line, and her determination sharpens. He isn't just helping them out, he also becomes the person everyone relies on. Once she reaches him, she quickly hands over the baton. The moment Tsunagu accepts it, the crowd erupts in loud cheers. Mari can't help but think it's funny how her classmates only cheer for him at times like this, yet they're completely counting on him. Sure enough, Tsunagu hears every bit of their support. The second the baton touches his hand, he takes off with incredible speed. Everyone is so stunned that even the opposing team falls silent, watching in disbelief. Tsunagu blazes down the track until he reaches the finish line, securing victory for their class. The crowd bursts into celebration as Mari and Yukihiro immediately rush over to congratulate him, and soon everyone else joins them. Heading home that day, their team is overjoyed with the results. However, Mari notices a girl nearby panicking about asking her crush out. The sight makes her envious as romance always seems to bloom during events like this. It hits her that she wants to see someone too. So she turns around and runs back to the classroom, silently praying he's still there. But before she reaches the room, familiar voices from below stop her. Yukihiro and Tsunagu are at the washing area, rinsing the mud off their bodies. Seeing them there, Mari feels as if her wish has been granted. Tsunagu notices her and points it out to Yukihiro. The three of them chat briefly about the last game and how their class completely dominated it. Tsunagu is about to head out, but Yukihiro stops him, aiming the hose in his direction before splashing water right in his face. Mari runs down while Tsunagu sputters in surprise and Yukihiro bursts out laughing. Soon enough, the two start a playful water fight. Watching them completely drenched, Mari's heart flutters and she can't help but laugh softly. After that, they head to the home economics room where there's a dryer they can use to warm up. Mari goes ahead to ask for the key, leaving Yukihiro and Tsunagu alone. The two start joking around and their conversation drifts to everything that happened today. Yukihiro talks about how fun it all was and asks if Tsunagu feels the same. But before Tsunagu can answer, Yukihiro's phone starts beeping. He opens it to discover it's his brothers messaging him about food, which reminds him he was supposed to make dinner tonight. Realizing he still needs to shop, Yukihiro panics and starts running off while apologizing. Tsunagu chases after him to return a proper goodbye. Before Yukihiro leaves, Tsunagu admits he also enjoyed today despite all the disappointment. Yukihiro just laughs and says they're in the same boat. As Yukihiro walks away, he reflects on Tsunagu's words. Deep down, he knows something has shifted ever since he drew his lot for the three-legged race. Just then, Yukihiro runs into Mari, who has successfully borrowed the key to the home economics room. He quickly explains that he needs to take care of something and has to head home early. Realizing this means Tsunagu will be alone with her, Mari grows flustered, trying her best to hide it, but Yukihiro immediately sees through her. Deep down, part of his disappointment today comes from knowing Mari's eyes have only ever been fixed on Tsunagu. With that, Yukihiro steps closer and gently pins Mari against the wall. The closeness makes her tense, but to her surprise, he simply tells her she has mud in her hair. He advises her to stay still and leans in to remove it. Mari is stunned he even noticed, so Yukihiro admits that it's because he's always watching her. Suddenly, Ochi arrives and catches them in that close position. He bluntly asks if they're dating, but they both immediately deny it, though Ochi doesn't seem convinced at all. With that, Yukihiro decides to continue on his way. Before leaving, he reaches out and gently pats Mari's head, leaving her completely speechless. On his way home, Yukihiro reflects on what just happened. He curses Ochi for interrupting, yet admits to himself that he needs to get a grip as he's been far too greedy lately. The three of them are supposed to enjoy their school life together, yet he keeps wishing Mari would look only at him while still supporting Tsunagu in everything. The thought makes him pause, wondering what it is he truly wants from all of them. Back at school, Ochi continues pressing Mari with questions about Yukihiro, but she keeps denying, which leads him to point out that it's only natural for a human girl and boy to end up together rather than a girl and a beast. Mari insists that a human and a beast folk can be together, but Ochi argues it's nearly impossible. He tells her the wall between their kinds has stood for centuries, and no matter how well they get along, that wall will always remain. If both kinds can't even look each other in the eye, then being in a relationship would be even harder. Ochi suggests they should just keep pretending to be friends. However, Mari wants more than that. Soon, Tsunagu arrives and finds the two of them alone. He immediately takes Mari by the shoulder, and Mari, who is already on the verge of tears, looks up at him. Assuming he must be freezing from the cold, she panics. Tsunagu then turns to Ochi and calmly asks if he still has anything to say, but Ochi simply lets them go. As they walk away, Ochi remains firm in what he told her, even as he notices Mari's hurt expression. When he glances up again, he even sees the two holding hands, which only frustrates him more. Inside the room, Mari begins drawing Tsunagu's fur while Ochi's words echo in her mind. She knows the wall between humans and beast folk is real, and everything around them seems to make it harder to ignore. Suddenly, Tsunagu leans in, asking what Ochi said that left her looking so pained. This prompts Mari to ask about the giant wall separating beast folk and humans. Tsunagu explains that it's simply an entrance where people and beast folk pass through. Itavi goes outside too. The wall is open, so he even invites Mari to visit his town someday. Hearing this, Mari realizes the wall isn't an obstacle, and Tsunagu goes on to assure her that they can still live together if they wanted. His sincere voice makes Marvi's heart flutter and leans in to kiss her. As the moment deepens, Tsunagu's touches grow more affectionate, but Mari stops him, wanting to say something first. She tells him she wants his scent on her. With that, Tsunagu immediately pulls her into an embrace. He doesn't want to do it because he's afraid he might lose control if he lets his feelings take over. Even now, he still isn't used to her scent, and he isn't confident he can hold himself back. With that, Mari suggests they do what they did at Yukihiro's house back then, thinking it might help Tsunagu get used to her scent. She believes it's better than suddenly touching each other too much, so Tsunagu proposes that she let him touch her in his room during summer vacation. Mari freezes at the thought of going inside the wall and entering his own little world. Still, she agrees, and the two promise to meet during summer, taking another step forward. Summer vacation finally arrives and Yukihiro grows excited about it. When Mari suggests the three of them hang out again sometime, he immediately invites them to do homework together in the library, which they all agree on. Soon, the students start talking about a beast folk waiting outside the school, which catches Mari's attention. But before she can ask more about it, a cat person suddenly appears in front of them. It's their first time seeing one and she finds her adorable. However, Tsunagu immediately recognizes her as Kisara. Before they know it, Kisara rushes forward and hugs Tsunagu, making Mari feel a twinge of jealousy. Kisara explains she came so she and Tsunagu could walk home together, just as Mari and Tsunagu's promised summer plans are about to begin. Kisara chats fondly with Tsunagu, excited that they can spend more time together. But Tsunagu only tells her to get off him because people are starting to stare. Kisara doesn't mind at all. Instead, she leans even closer and hugs him, leaving Mari stunned. Seeing them like that, Mari realizes just how close the two are. She wonders whether she should interrupt, but Yukihiro speaks first, asking Tsunagu if they should join them. Only then does Tsunagu finally pull Kisara away and introduce her to the two as his childhood friend. Yukihiro greets Kisara politely, but Kisara's attention shifts to Mari. She steps forward, grabs Mari by the collar, and glares at her intently, saying she doesn't like her scent. Her grip tightens as she declares she can sense Mari has strong feelings for Tsunagu. But before she can finish her sentence, Tsunagu quickly covers her mouth the moment she says his name. As Tsunagu reprimands Kisara, Mari grows anxious. Even though Kisara doesn't finish her sentence, Mari knows she guessed that she likes Tsunagu. What unsettles her most is how easily Kisara sees through her. When Tsunagu bids goodbye to his friends, Yukihiro agrees they should leave too, especially with students starting to gather around. Still, Kisara's tense gaze never leaves Mari until she and Tsunagu eventually walk away. Afterward, Mari and Yukihiro grab ice cream and talk about what happened. Neither of them had any idea if Tsunagu had a childhood friend, and though Kisara looks adorable, Mari admits she was scared of how she growled at her. Yukihiro is also disappointed they didn't get a chance to hang out properly, and Mari feels the same. They end up joking that the two of them stand no chance against Tsunagu's childhood friend. Deep down, Mari feels a sting of sadness as she won't be able to see Tsunagu for a long time, and they never even talked about their promise to meet again, not after what Kisara said. On top of that, the students who witnessed the scene probably assumed she likes Tsunagu too. So she just stood there frozen as they walked away like a perfect pair. Suddenly, Yukihiro gets an idea. He suggests that the two of them hang out instead. Mari agrees, but she can't think of anywhere to go. That's when he suggests the ocean. Yukihiro explains that the best cure for frustrating feelings is the ocean, but their minds are still thinking of Tsunagu, wondering if he ever set foot on the ocean before. Yukihiro takes off his shoes and walks along the water, calling Mari to join him. She hesitates for a moment before preparing herself and stepping toward him as well. As she approaches, she asks if he's planning something. Yukihiro admits he is, then gently grabs her hand, explaining that Kisara made it seem like going home with Tsunagu is a given for her. They both know they can't offer Tsunagu that same thing, so instead, Yukihiro decides to show him what he's missing. He pulls out his phone to capture the scenery. Mari insists they shouldn't be competing for Tsunagu's attention, so Yukihiro says it's nothing serious and continues with his plan. As he frames the shot, he tells Mari to scoot over a little. To her surprise, Yukihiro is actually taking a picture of both the sea and Mari. With that, Yukihiro tells Mari to position herself, and though she follows, her cheeks are burning. But what startles her more is when he casually mentions he's sending the photo to Tsunagu. Mari panics, steps back in shock, and nearly slips into the water until Yukihiro catches her just in time, pulling her straight into his chest. They stay frozen for a moment before Mari whispers that she felt something soft on her foot. Yukihiro guesses it might be a sea cucumber, and possibly the poisonous kind. That sends Mari bolting again. Yukihiro warns her she might fall again and might be heading right toward more sea cucumbers, which only makes her scream in despair. Yukihiro can't help laughing at her reaction, and somehow that makes Mari relax. After a brief pause, she bursts out laughing freely, and Yukihiro lifts his phone to snap the perfect shot with Mari glowing with joy. It may just be a photo taken after she panicked at a sea cucumber, but it's much better than ending the day depressed. At least now they can send a photo of her smiling to Tsunagu and their day is back to normal. Mari reflects on Yukihiro's words. She's certain he heard Kisara earlier, yet he still went out of his way to cheer her up despite her disappointment. Grateful, she thanks him, and he gently pats her head in response, reminding her that they're friends after all. As Mari walks back toward the shore, she reflects on herself. She doesn't want to stay scared or frustrated forever, but right now all she can do is smile. Even so, she finds herself wanting to talk to Tsunagu badly. Meanwhile, Tsunagu enters the beast folk wall with Kisara at his side. She tries to speak to him, but he continues walking as though she isn't there. Finally, she asks if he isn't happy she showed up in his school, but that isn't the reason why he's upset. He's angry because she growled at Mari. Kisara admits it, insisting it was only because of Mari's scent. She can even smell it on Tsunagu as if Mari is marking him, something which she feels is wrong. But Tsunagu stops her words, covering her mouth as he explains that he was the one who marked himself to Mari. He only calls Mari his friend so others won't react the same way Kisara did. Kisara's voice softens as she realizes Tsunagu has changed completely. She mentions how he goes outside the walls even when he isn't heading to school, and though she thinks it's fine if he's simply gotten used to living among humans, she warns him he'll only end up hurt. He's fallen in love with a human and she knows the others will never accept that easily. To her shock, Tsunagu admits she's right. Kisara's eyes fill with tears and she tells him she won't accept it either. Never, ever. Then she turns and runs off, leaving Tsunagu frozen in place. Hearing those words from someone he considers to be like a younger sister stings a little. Just then his phone buzzes. Yukihiro has sent him a photo of Mari from earlier, proudly bragging that he went on a date with her. Tsunagu stares at the picture for a long moment before reacting. Without hesitation, he calls Mari. She's walking home when she answers, surprised to hear from him. Tsunagu immediately mentions the photo Yukihiro sent and assures her she looks really cute in it. As they continue talking, Tsunagu glances at Yukihiro's message, admitting he was just joking about his date with Mari and simply sent him the picture so he won't forget them during break. Then their call falls into an awkward silence. Mari wants to talk to him so badly, yet she can't find the right words. Before she can say anything, Tsunagu speaks first, apologizing for Kisara and explaining that she has never been good at holding back and probably said harsh things she didn't mean. But Mari reassures him she isn't afraid of being criticized. Deep down, what scares her more is the thought of losing him. She tells Tsunagu to say whatever is bothering him and promises she'll call him a lot during break. Tsunagu, however, admits that calling isn't enough for him. The only thing bothering him right now is that he can't hold her. He reminds her of her promise that she would come see him this summer, and Mari agrees, her ears burning red. After that, Tsunagu explains the steps she needs to take to visit his place. She has to fill out an application first, but Mari is so excited that her chest aches and she knows it won't go away until she sees him again. Soon, August arrives, yet her longing still hasn't faded. On the day they agreed to meet, Mari enters the wall that separates them. She reaches the visitor's reception where she presents her ID before entering. The receptionist reminds her that she can only stay until 5 p.m., and Mari nods before heading toward the entrance. When she opens the door, sunlight spills through and she takes her first step into Tsunagu's world. At the same time, Tsunagu glances at his watch when Kisara walks by. He calls out to her and she freezes at the sound of his voice. Tsunagu wants to talk, but she quickly brushes him off, saying she has to meet a few people and then leaves. Kisara meets up with her friends, still crushed by everything that happened, so they do their best to comfort her. She confides that Tsunagu has a girlfriend now, though her friends admit they aren't surprised. Tsunagu has always been popular, but he never showed a hint of romantic interest toward anyone of their kind. On top of that, he constantly dismissed Kisara's advances. Kisara insists he only sees her feelings as familial, but her friend nudges her, saying that unless she tells him that Tsunagu is never going to understand. Kisara knows they're right, yet deep down she knows exactly what she wants to say. She's just terrified of being rejected, which is why she's never tried. Then she sips her drink, trying to regain her composure. Looking back, Tsunagu was born to a beast person father and a human mother, so he has always stood out from the rest. He used to be grumpy and distant, which made Kisara dislike him, until he showed her how kind he truly is. She has liked him ever since, even until now. But after what happened between him and Mari, Kisara realizes she said things she shouldn't have, especially because she knows his parents have gone through the same type of love. Meanwhile, Mari follows the map on her phone, heading toward their meeting spot. She wonders where it will lead her when a soft floral scent catches her attention. Looking up, she finds a wide field of flowers stretching before her. As she admires the sight, Tsunagu suddenly appears behind her and gently pulls her into a hug. It has been 2 weeks since they last saw each other, and Mari feels even more flustered now that they haven't seen each other for quite some time. Tsunagu asks about her journey to his place, assuming she must have been scared to walk inside alone, so he shows her the beautiful field to reassure her that something wonderful awaits here. However, Mari wasn't scared at all. In fact, she was excited because there were no buildings or concrete in sight, only open greenery. Tsunagu feels relieved at this, so he cuddles her, making up for the 2 weeks they've been apart. He then takes her hand, leading her toward town. But before they leave, he pauses to appreciate her presence and cute outfit, which instantly makes her blush. Once they reach the town, Mari immediately scans her surroundings, amazed by the sight of beast folk. She's so fascinated that Tsunagu has to remind her to watch her step. Then she notices a human boy in the crowd, and she quickly asks about it. Tsunagu explains that a few humans visit the town from time to time to see their beast folk friends. Before she can respond, Tsunagu suddenly pulls her closer as 2 beast folk hiss at her for blocking the path. He tells her she shouldn't let her guard down too much in that place. A moment later, another beast person struggles by with a tower of boxes and asks Tsunagu for help. But when he notices Mari hiding behind Tsunagu's arm, he awkwardly waves the request away. Mari insists it's fine and encourages Tsunagu to help him, though Tsunagu clearly doesn't want to, but since Mari believes the beast person needs assistance, he reluctantly agrees. As Tsunagu steps forward, the beast person comments that Mari has a pleasant scent. Tsunagu replies calmly that scent alone can't reveal someone's personality, but the beast person still presses that someone in love just naturally smells sweeter. Mari waits for Tsunagu to finish as she feels the breeze on her face. She isn't sure if it's the town itself or the scenery, but she can't shake the feeling that she's fully stepping into the beast folks' world. As she's taking it all in, Kisara suddenly walks past in front of her. She halts mid-step the moment she notices Mari, and the two of them lock eyes. Mari opens her eyes to find Kisara staring directly at her. Her friends immediately notice, but Kisara quickly grabs Mari by the hand and pulls her away. Meanwhile, Tsunagu realizes Mari is missing, so he drops the boxes and starts searching for her. Kisara leads Mari to a quiet spot to talk. There, Kisara questions why Mari is here at all. Mari explains that she only came to visit, but Kisara can tell from her scent that she and Tsunagu are actually on a date. Mari forgets that beast folk have heightened senses and apologizes immediately. Kisara then brings up their last encounter when she growled at Mari. She urges Mari to be angry with her, but standing up for herself feels completely foreign. Kisara grows frustrated by how timid she is, but Mari explains that she never considered reacting that way. However, she also admits that she isn't afraid anymore. Mari explains that she simply forgets things like that because being in the town where the person she loves grew up fills her with so much love that she never minded the criticism. As long as they're together and doing things that make them happy, she insists she'll be fine. Her sincerity makes Kisara realize just how sweet Mari is. She never expected her to be this kind of person, so she apologizes for all the harsh things she said during their last meeting. But Mari insists she learned a lot from that experience. That only frustrates Kisara further, as it highlights how genuinely good Mari is, and it makes her feel worse knowing that both she and Tsunagu have feelings for each other. Kisara says those words with tears in her eyes, making Mari realize she has feelings for Tsunagu. Before Mari can respond, 2 other beast folk suddenly interrupt them, and seeing Kisara crying, they assume Mari is harassing her, so one of them grabs Mari by the wrist. Mari tries to explain, but the beast person clearly despises humans. The beast person grows aggressive, so Kisara immediately steps in and bites the beast person's arm. The moment his arm starts bleeding, the beast person becomes enraged, so he raises his hand and strikes Kisara, though the blow barely lands because Mari jumps in front of her. Kisara tells Mari not to risk herself since she's human, but Mari vows to protect not only Tsunagu, but everyone important to him, including Kisara. At that moment, Tsunagu arrives and immediately pins the beast person, unconscious. He then rushes to Mari and comforts her as she shakes. Later at the police station, an officer questions Mari about the incident and apologizes that her visit to the beast folk community turned into something so frightening. They promise to increase security to ensure her safety. After that, Mari finally confides in Tsunagu about how frightened she felt. She insists she's fine now, but her hands are still trembling. Then Kisara rushes in, clearly distressed. She hovers over Mari, asking question after question. Mari reassures her that she is fine. Then she notices Kisara's hand, scraped from their earlier encounter. Realizing Kisara is the one who needs care, Mari points it out. Tsunagu also offers to treat the wound, but Kisara pulls her hand away. Kisara insists that she will let Mari have Tsunagu, since she is a kind girl who even protected her, and she's the one who dragged her there in the first place anyway. She wants Tsunagu to take care of Mari instead, even though Mari tells her she has no wounds. Still, Kisara firmly repeats that she doesn't want Tsunagu to worry about her anymore, and that she only wants to support their relationship from now on. Kisara then whispers to Mari, telling her to take good care of Tsunagu, and teasingly warns that if their scents ever weaken, she'll come to take him back. With that, she heads into the station for questioning. Tsunagu can't help but wag his tail uncontrollably, overjoyed that Kisara has accepted their relationship. Mari, on the other hand, realizes just how openly beast folk express their feelings. She also notices that her hand has stopped shaking. Hearing Kisara support them so boldly warms her heart, and the kindness behind it makes her feel happy. Tsunagu suggests taking Mari back to the wall for the day, but she insists they still haven't fulfilled their promise. He hesitates, assuming she wouldn't want to be held after what happened, but Mari simply leans closer, reassuring him she isn't afraid of him at all. Even though he's big and strong, she knows he would never hurt her. Her words make Tsunagu feel he doesn't have to hold back. He brings Mari to his home, though she worries about how she might look in front of his parents. Tsunagu quickly explains that they're still at work, so she can come inside comfortably. He leads her to his room and asks her to wait a moment, so she sits quietly, glancing around his room. When Tsunagu returns, he's carrying a bowl of water and a towel. He proceeds to gently wipe her skin, explaining that he wants to remove the lingering scent of the beast person who treated her roughly earlier. As he continues, Mari admits that she has been nervous the whole time, and Tsunagu confesses that he has been nervous too. Tsunagu leans in to kiss Mari, prompting her to ask if he wants to practice getting used to her scent. He hesitates, thinking it might be dangerous since they're alone in his room, so he reaches for a muzzle and straps it over his mouth. This startles Mari, but Tsunagu explains it's what they use when they might lose control. He doesn't want to risk biting her, so for her safety, he insists on wearing it, and Mari can only accept it. Seeing Tsunagu like that makes Mari wonder if they're about to do something naughty. However, Tsunagu reminds her they've already done a lot of things together, then guides her down until she's lying on his bed. He lists the moments they shared and asks how much further they should go. Mari knew this was meant to help him practice self-control, but she also felt their desires stirring. Still, she gathers her composure and quietly tells him that it's fine as long as they don't go too far. With that, Tsunagu proceeds to cuddle Mari and immediately notices that she smells far sweeter now than she did at school. Normally, she tries to brace herself so their scents mix and help him stay calm. But today, her scent is pure sweetness that triggers him to instinctively reach for the zipper of her dress, and Mari doesn't resist. As they draw closer, Tsunagu wants desperately to remove his muzzle and mark her, but because he loves her deeply, he refuses to risk hurting her. Mari notices the tension in his body and asks if he's okay, yet Tsunagu is more worried about her. With that, they settle into a tight embrace instead. Before long, Mari realizes he's struggling far more than he lets on. She knows they should stop already, yet she keeps wanting more. Their touches grow more eager until Tsunagu starts trembling. He clings to her as his hands roam instinctively, and though Mari feels herself getting swept away too, she tries her best to stop it because she can see how hard Tsunagu is struggling. When their fingers finally interlock, they both agree to stop. After that, Tsunagu releases Mari and steps back, trying to calm himself as his body still trembles. He admits that it's hard to control himself once he goes further, so he pats Mari's head and instructs her to fix herself before leaving the room. Outside, he struggles to steady himself. He isn't used to his own desires, and he wants to touch Mari in the most human way. Meanwhile, Mari reflects on how he manages to restrain himself despite the depth of their touch. Even she feels both warmth and comfort for the first time from the closeness they shared. At that moment, Mari struggles to reach the zipper of her dress. At the same time, Tsunagu returns and catches her struggling, so he volunteers to help her, gently pulling it up. He can't help but lean closer and sniff her neck, realizing his own scent is mixed with her sweetness. Mari wonders if he feels anything else, but Tsunagu is simply enjoying her scent. Tsunagu wonders how his scent lingers so strongly on Mari, and she thinks it's because she's grown used to him. He doubts it but admits that he will remember every detail about her because of it. With that, Mari swears she'll be calmer next time. Hearing her words, Tsunagu asks for a promise that there will indeed be a next time, and Mari complies without hesitation. When the day ends, Tsunagu walks Mari to the wall, both feeling reluctant to part ways. Mari pauses, sad at the thought of leaving, and Tsunagu opens his arms for an embrace. They hold each other while remembering how much fun they shared. Just then, a text from Yukihiro appears asking both of them for help with homework. Mari is reminded that she hasn't completed hers either. She fumbles for an excuse, but Tsunagu simply says he'll need to head over to her side of the wall soon and asks Yukihiro when they'll tackle the homework. That reassurance eases Mari's sadness slightly as they part for the day. The trio meets at a family restaurant where Yukihiro complains about being unable to concentrate at home. Despite this, he's managed to finish only one task so far, so Tsunagu warns him not to make him yell at him. The conversation shifts to their summer activities. Mari proudly mentions that she gave Yuki a new haircut, prompting both Tsunagu and Yukihiro to marvel at how cute she looks. When Mari's hand accidentally brushes Tsunagu's, she becomes startled and excuses herself to fetch drinks. While she's gone, Yukihiro can't help but comment on the sweet aura surrounding Tsunagu and Mari, teasing them about whether they spend time alone together. Tsunagu snaps back at him, reminding him of the beach outing they shared. Yukihiro protests, insisting they're just best friends, but Tsunagu points out how protective he's been over their trio's relationship. Despite that, he thanks Yukihiro for inviting them, appreciating the chance to hang out together. Yukihiro bursts out, exclaiming that he wants to feel jealous, but Tsunagu keeps stopping him. Yukihiro looks around and notices people in Yukata, realizing their festival is happening, but they can't go there either. Just then, Tsunagu suddenly thinks of a solution. As Mari walks back, still thinking about Tsunagu, she notices the two of them happily scrolling through their phones. Curious, she asks what they're doing, but Yukihiro only responds by asking if she's okay with high places. Soon, they climb a steep staircase, refusing to reveal their destination. Mari looks back nervously, realizing how high up they'd gone. When they reach the top, they must walk through a forest, which makes Mari uneasy. However, the two offer her their hands, promising it will be fun. She hesitates for a moment before joining them. Inside the forest, the two urge Mari to close her eyes as they guide her along the path. There are a few hurdles along the way, but they lead her patiently until they finally stop. When Mari opens her eyes, she sees hundreds of lanterns rising into the sky. At the same time, fireworks bloom on the opposite side of the sky. All three of them look up in awe. Yukihiro explains that both humans and beast folk are celebrating festivals today, with the fireworks on the human side and lanterns on the beast folk side. In this specific spot, they can witness both worlds at once. Mari's eyes begin to well with tears, overwhelmed that she can experience both worlds together, which is all possible because of the two boys beside her. Yukihiro admits it's his first time seeing lanterns, and Tsunagu shares that he has never seen fireworks as well. Mari realizes this might be the best memory she's made all summer, and Yukihiro completely forgets about his homework again, and together enjoy a festival in both human and beast folk traditions. After summer vacation, everyone is back in class, and the students scramble over homework and preparations for the upcoming school festival. The class settles into its usual routine, and when lunch break arrives, the trio plans to eat together. However, Tsunagu needs to return a book to the library first, while Mari has to check something else, so Yukihiro heads to the rooftop alone. Tsunagu and Mari walk to the library, where Mari struggles to reach a book on the top shelf. Tsunagu steps in to help her, but just as Mari thanks him, voices echo from the nearby shelves. Students approach, and the moment they see Tsunagu, they shriek, startled by the presence of a beast person. With that, Mari instinctively hides behind Tsunagu as she waits for the students to pass by, explaining that she is worried they might see them together. Yet their current position could draw more suspicion if someone notices them. Mari hesitantly asks about her scent, but Tsunagu only responds by leaning closer and patting her head gently. After a brief moment, they decide to head to the rooftop to join Yukihiro for lunch. Once there, they talk about how their minds are still stuck in vacation mode. Beyond that, they realize the rooftop will soon get too cold to eat comfortably, so they need to find a better place for lunch. While they converse, Mari can't stop thinking about Tsunagu and how he seems more relaxed around her now, recalling the head pat earlier. She feels their practice is paying off and that it might be for the best. Yet she also worries that the scent which drew him in might eventually make her less interesting to him once he becomes used to it. Mari spaces out, prompting the two to check on her, but she insists she's fine. So they continue brainstorming other places to have lunch. Later, Tsunagu confronts Mari about what's keeping her distracted. She doesn't want to admit the truth and brushes it off, though Tsunagu can sense she's lying. As they head out, Kisara suddenly appears outside the school gate and immediately embraces Mari. Tsunagu asks what she's doing there, but Kisara explains that she only wants to go shopping with Mari. Mari is confused, so Kisara recalls when Mari protected her, ruining her hair tie. She wants to find a replacement that looks even cuter. Kisara quickly pulls Mari along, leaving her no choice but to comply. Meanwhile, Yukihiro arrives from training and notices Tsunagu standing alone. He asks about Mari, and Tsunagu explains she's with Kisara. This confuses Yukihiro, so he also shares what happened during Mari's visit to the beast folk community. He feels worried at first, but seeing Mari running off with Kisara willingly, he decides to let them be. Tsunagu looks down as he speaks, prompting Yukihiro to ask what's wrong. Tsunagu admits that he just wants Mari to rely on him more, and Yukihiro tries to comfort him. Meanwhile, Mari and Kisara browse various hair ties. Kisara asks Mari what she likes, but Mari insists she wants something she thinks Tsunagu would find attractive. Kisara tells her she should choose for herself, not for him, but Mari doesn't budge, saying she wants Tsunagu to see her as a girl, which only makes Kisara snap at her. Kisara grows frustrated that Mari is so worried about whether Tsunagu still loves her when their scents practically scream that they're in love, then remembers humans can't smell that. Even so, she assumes Mari must have felt his affection in the way he treats her. Mari understands, but she still wants to look cute for him, so Kisara can only frown at how earnest Mari is. Her words soften Kisara, and she decides to reassure her that Tsunagu's scent becomes intensely sweet whenever he's with Mari, and that one day Mari will understand exactly what that means. Her words put Mari at ease, comforting her that Tsunagu's feelings are real. With that, Mari thanks her, and the two agree to exchange numbers. The next day, Mari puts her hair up, and it immediately catches Yukihiro's attention. He compliments her, but when he asks Tsunagu for his opinion, Tsunagu only gives a cold response. Mari's mood sinks, but Haruki Yanagi suddenly barges onto the rooftop and calls Yukihiro to practice. Yukihiro refuses, saying he only cares about basketball, but today the team is practicing cooking. It turns out the basketball club is in charge of making yakisoba for the school festival, so they need to learn. Haruki also invites Tsunagu and Mari to come along if they want, and though Mari is curious, Tsunagu stops her and says they already have other plans. With that, Haruki leaves with only Yukihiro. Once they're alone, Tsunagu immediately leans closer to Mari. He tells her that he has finally gotten used to her scent, which means they can spend more time together, so now he wants the two of them to be alone. Hearing this, Mari assures him she won't leave him and tells him she loves him, and Tsunagu can't resist pulling her into a kiss. Tsunagu asks Mari why she changed her hairstyle, and she admits she wanted to look cute for him. But Tsunagu immediately replies that she has always looked good to him. Mari then wonders if he would still feel that way without her scent, yet Tsunagu reassures her that nothing about his feelings will change. As they grow closer, Tsunagu confesses that even though he can restrain himself now, he won't stop himself from touching her. At the same time, a group of students is heading toward the rooftop, unaware of how intimate the two are becoming. Fortunately, by the time the door opens, Mari and Tsunagu are already walking out. Unbeknownst to them, another student watches from the staircase above, smirking as he thinks he has just found a new story worth covering. Back in class, the group plays rock, paper, scissors to decide who joins the shopping team, and both Mari and Yukihiro lose. They invite Tsunagu to come with them, but he declines as he has his own duties to handle. His decorations turn out so well that he ends up attracting attention, and their classmates start asking if he can help with several other tasks too. Seeing this, Yukihiro steps in and scolds everyone for relying on Tsunagu for everything just because he's good at it. His classmates immediately point out that Yukihiro himself just asked Tsunagu for help earlier, making him flustered. With that, Mari promises that she'll work twice as hard in Tsunagu's place, but Yukihiro admits that he really just wanted to spend time with the both of them. Tsunagu leans his head against Yukihiro and tells him to just call if he needs help carrying anything. As each class prepares for the festival, chaos begins to erupt. Events like these are always a hassle, but at least Tsunagu seems to be blending in well with everyone again. Mari and Yukihiro head out to shop when the same student from earlier barges into the classroom, looking for Tsunagu. As they shop, Yukihiro and Mari talk about their class's festival theme, which is a retro cafe. Yukihiro explains that the basketball team is in charge of cooking yakisoba, but the first years have been told to focus on class activities instead. Soon, their basket slowly fills with supplies, and while Mari admits she's enjoying the shopping trip, Yukihiro admits he doesn't know how to choose the right retro items. As he talks, a birthday decoration hanging behind Mari catches his eye, and he remembers that her birthday is coming up soon. With that, he suggests she pick out anything she wants as a gift, since he isn't great at choosing things. Mari thinks for a moment, then suggests buying a collar for Yuki, though Yukihiro admits even choosing the right style requires taste. However, she insists that he's always helping her, so she feels she should be the one giving him something. Yukihiro reminds her that his birthday is still far away, but Mari stubbornly says she wants to get him whatever he wants. With that, he simply tells her to choose anything she wants to give. As they head to the registry, Mari notices Yukihiro's curious pause. It makes her realize that whenever the three of them are together, Yukihiro is always the one who cares the most. He gives them good advice, but Mari never really heard him talk about himself, so she gently urges him to tell her if there's anything he truly wants. Yukihiro hesitates, saying that his wish might be impossible, but Mari disagrees. As long as it's something she can give, she promises she'll do whatever it takes. Still, Yukihiro admits he can't put it into words yet, so he tells her he'll explain it next time instead. Then he lifts his pinky toward her, promising that he will tell her eventually. Mari hooks her pinky with his, sealing their promise. For some strange reason, Yukihiro's words leave a weight on her chest, which she can't understand. When they return to class, they hand over the bags of items they bought and ask about the remaining finances. But soon they realize Tsunagu is nowhere in sight. Their classmates explain that someone came to take him away for an interview of some sort. Honestly, he was the star of the decorating team, so everyone hopes he'll be back soon. Their classmates add that the student was getting in everyone's way, and Tsunagu didn't want him bothering the class, so he agreed to go with him. With that, Yukihiro signals Mari to go find him. Mari heads off and soon hears the student firing questions at Tsunagu. Tsunagu answers with straightforward replies, but the student clearly expects something sensational. When he doesn't get it, he makes a subtle jab at Tsunagu. That's when Mari steps in, saying the teacher is looking for Tsunagu and he needs to go back. The student still refuses to let him go. While Tsunagu thanks Mari, he then calmly says he's living like a normal human too, so the student will never get the story he's hoping for. Still, the student blocks his way, desperate to squeeze something out of him. In response, Tsunagu simply picks him up and bolts down the hallway to escape the student. Still, the student chases them, not ready to give up at all. With no other choice, Tsunagu grabs Mari and tells her to close her eyes and mouth while holding on tight. In the next second, he leaps straight out the window with her. At the time the student thinks he has cornered them, they're already gone. The two land safely on the ground below. It was terrifying for Mari, but at least they managed to escape, though the reporter might still be waiting for them back in the classroom. Mari apologizes for not stepping in sooner, but Tsunagu simply thanks her instead. He explains that it was obvious the student wanted him to say certain things. Tsunagu even admits that during the very first question, he almost growled by accident. It was a close call. With everyone in class calling him by his name Mao and treating him like any other student, he suspects he's letting his guard down a little too much. This makes Mari reflect on how much Tsunagu is changing, but she simply invites him to head back to class. When they arrive, they notice a note on the door saying no one from the school paper is allowed inside. Their classmates immediately greet them, relieved to see Tsunagu return. When he asks about the note, they casually explain that it's pest control meant to keep anyone from trying to steal him away again. Their efforts clearly touch both Tsunagu and Mari. When Yukihiro admits that while their classmates originally wanted Tsunagu around for his skills, they eventually just started worrying about him. Mari finds it adorable. Tsunagu, however, insists this treatment will only make him let his guard down. Their moment is interrupted by a classmate calling for help, who soon compliments them on being such a good trio. Mari reflects on how everyone is starting to notice Tsunagu more. A few classmates also begin to take an interest in Mari and Tsunagu, observing how they walk home together and how close they seem. Then they start suspecting that the two might actually be dating. On the day of the festival, the school buzzes with activity as Mari's class sets up a traditional cafe booth. She entertains guests with cheerful smiles until it's time to hand over duties to Ritsuka. The cafe grows increasingly crowded around lunchtime, and Mari prepares herself for a break. Reflecting on the previous day, she recalls classmates speculating that she and Tsunagu might be dating. Yukihiro had quickly intervened, warning them not to spread such rumors. His intervention silenced the gossipers, but Mari remains cautious, as she knows people will eventually continue talking about them. Just then, Tsunagu appears, checking in on her. Mari panics, insisting she's fine. At this point, her heart skips a beat whenever he's near, so she doesn't think she can hide it at all. Soon, Yukihiro also steps in to collect the flyers from Tsunagu, who hands them over without hesitation. Noticing Mari nearby, he quickly grabs his phone and urges the two of them to pose for a photo together. Their expressions are clearly startled in the shot, but Mari still asks him to send her a copy. Suddenly, Ochi tugs at Yukihiro, reminding him he still needs to distribute the flyers or else he won't be able to slack off. Left alone with Tsunagu, Mari asks about his plans during her break, but he hesitates to answer. With that, Ritsuka and Ayano quickly step in, encouraging them to enjoy the festival. Taking their advice, Mari invites Tsunagu to explore the festival with her. The pair wanders through the bustling grounds, visiting food stalls, including one selling yakisoba made from Yukihiro's family recipe. After grabbing their food, Mari suggests they find an empty classroom to eat. However, they suddenly hear a sound from outside that catches their attention. They peek their heads out to see a band playing below, and the festival crowd is growing busier as each club tries to attract visitors. Tsunagu glances at Mari and wonders if she's okay just watching from the window. He suggests it might be better to join the crowd outside, but Mari's thoughts drift back to their classmates' words from yesterday. They had asked if she and Tsunagu were dating, and Mari would have said no, but the truth is, they do like each other. Still, she doubts it would make much difference to anyone. With that, she asks if Tsunagu worries about people noticing them in the crowd. He pauses, reflecting as his mind drifts beyond the festival. He wonders if all the effort he's putting into fitting in with humans is as beautiful as the scene in front of him. Finally, he admits that his true fear is not that people will discover his connection with Mari, but that they won't be able to accept him at all. Just then, two boys nearby start talking about how cute and pale Mari is. They even talk about approaching her. Tsunagu hears this, so he quickly drapes his jacket over her shoulders to hide her. He whispers that she should be able to enjoy today's festival only with him. With that, he wants them to go out and enjoy the festival. So the two walk outside and whispers immediately ripple through the crowd at the sight of a beast person. Yet Mari and Tsunagu keep walking, aware that people will stare no matter what. They cannot erase the fear rooted deeply. And that is precisely why they refuse to give up. They visit several booths around the school, including a haunted house. The receptionist doubts whether a beast person can even be scared, and sure enough, Mari dashes around like a frightened cat while Tsunagu remains composed in his spot. Afterward, they sit to eat, laughing as they talk about how Mari screams so loudly she nearly frightened the boy playing the ghost. That shared moment fills Mari with certainty. Even when they face rough patches, moments like these will stay with them forever, reminding them of the joy they can find together. Meanwhile, Ochi and Yukihiro are walking outside, handing out flyers together. Ochi keeps yawning, prompting Yukihiro to remind him not to actually slack off. Despite only Yukihiro actively distributing the flyers so far, Ochi insists that his presence alone is enough. Yukihiro smiles, knowing that seeing Ochi show up is already a big improvement. Curious, Yukihiro asks why Ochi hasn't been around his usual crew lately. With that, Ochi admits they aren't really his crew, as they've hardly ever been around to begin with. Sensing his unease, Yukihiro decides to shift the topic back to handing out flyers, but Ochi remains stubborn. Teasing him, Yukihiro remarks that Ochi is incapable of simply distributing flyers. Flushed by the teasing, Ochi volunteers to hand out the flyers himself. He approaches several students with a genuine smile, which makes him look unexpectedly handsome. The students are instantly captivated by his charm, so they eagerly take the flyers and promise to head straight to the booth, earning a satisfied grin from Yukihiro. However, Ochi quickly grows exhausted after handing out the flyers. Even as Yukihiro praises him nonstop, Ochi simply responds that he despises lies and flattery, insisting he won't do it again. Yukihiro can only apologize and try to comfort him, genuinely attempting to become friends even if Ochi rejects his advances. Suddenly, someone bumps into Yukihiro's back. Turning around, he is surprised to see Kisara bundled in a big jacket. He immediately recognizes her, and Kisara recognizes him as Tsunagu's friend as well. Yukihiro learns that Mari invited her over to the festival and that she's now Mari's friend. However, Kisara struggles to navigate through the dense crowd, and as there are so many people incensed that it overwhelms her. Just as they are talking, a few students nearly bump into her, so Yukihiro instinctively pulls her close and she bumps into his chest. Acknowledging how crowded it is, he offers to guide her directly to Mari, but Ochi quickly reminds him about the flyers. With that, Kisara gently frees herself from Yukihiro's hands, insisting she can find her own way using her map. Then, she thanks him before running off, while Yukihiro is left admiring how fluffy she feels. At the same time, Kisara, though startled, concludes that Yukihiro seems like a genuinely good person. The traditional cafe buzzes with people, everyone rushing back and forth for supplies. Just then, Mari and Tsunagu finally return, and Mari immediately asks why it is so packed. Ritsuka explains that rumors are spreading about an extremely handsome guy handing out flyers, drawing the crowds in. Margaret briefly wonders if they mean Yukihiro, but before she can think further, the same classmate from yesterday notices her wrapped in Tsunagu's jacket and radiates his suspicion that they are dating. Fortunately, Ritsuka steps in, calmly defending them by saying it is simply cold today, and sends him back to work. With that, Mari returns the jacket to Tsunagu and promises to work harder for the cafe, though Ritsuka and Ayano reassure them that their only goal today is to have fun. When Tsunagu notices Tauri heading out to shop, he offers to carry her things, while Mari focuses on organizing the lines until the overwhelming crowd finally begins to calm down. At the same time, Kisara approaches Mari looking exhausted. It turns out she's been texting Mari nonstop, and Mari admits she was just as worried after hearing that Kisara was not feeling well. Kisara immediately praises Mari's maid outfit, calling it cute, then invites her to take a photo together. As they talk, a few boys come closer and ask if they can enter the cafe. Mari welcomes them, but one of the boys suddenly notices Kisara's tail and grabs it. Kisara screams instantly, and the group realizes she's a beast person. She scolds them sharply for touching her tail without permission. Kisara begins to lash out, and whispers spread among the surrounding students about beast folk being at the school. The boy grows aggressive, about to confront Kisara when Mari steps forward to shield her, explaining that Kisara is her friend and a customer. At the same time, Tsunagu is walking back with boxes in his arms beside Tauri, but the rising whispers about a beast folk quickly draw his attention. Then Tsunagu spots Kisara standing behind Mari, who is trying to protect her. He immediately drops the boxes and rushes toward them, but just before he reaches them, someone grabs him from behind. Yukihiro holds him back and tells him to stay quiet. He knows Mari is right there, yet all he can do is apologize. Meanwhile, the boy's attention shifts to Mari and they begin hitting on her openly. Kisara tenses, ready to step in, when a sudden voice cuts through. Another beast folk appears, this one with the head of a horse. He calmly informs them that they are currently inside a Beast Folk cafe. Around them, classmates step forward, all dressed in Beast Folk costumes. The boys are left speechless, and both Mari and Kisara are just as stunned, until they notice the booth sign now clearly reads Beast Folk Cafe. Someone has discreetly changed a few letters. With that, Tsunagu finally steps in and tells the boys to leave. Soon after, more visitors gather, delighted by the costumes and stopping to take photos. However, this does not go unnoticed by Kisara, who comments on how strange the place has become. Tsunagu calmly checks on her tail, but Kisara scolds him for being too composed. That makes Mari wonder if he knew anything about the Beast Folk Cafe beforehand. Tsunagu admits that earlier, the person in charge of the costumes had come to talk to him. Then, just moments ago, when Yukihiro pulled him aside, he learned that the entire class had already planned something together. Their goal was to drive those boys away. Even though Tsunagu felt hesitant about their plan, it was clear that everyone was well prepared, so in the end, he decided to trust them and let things play out. Even so, Tsunagu admits he didn't know about the masks, so it freaked him out a bit. Kisara asks Tsunagu if he is okay with what he is seeing, and he shyly admits that he is. The class prepared all of this in advance, just in case he ended up standing out in a bad way. Just then, Yukihiro removes his horse mask and informs them that he has already handed the boys over to the committee. Realizing that Yukihiro was the one who saved them earlier, Mari expresses her gratitude, but Kisara merely scoffs. The class begins to wonder if they should keep the booth as a Beast Folk cafe. Their leader, Kokonoha, agrees, noting that it has become popular. Kisara disagrees at first, saying it feels strange, but Kokonoha points out it is only weird for beast folk themselves. He explains that he just wants to show others how wonderful beast folk can be. He even made a beast folk manual to ensure nothing came across as offensive. It is obvious that he is fond of beast folk and even exaggerates about wanting to become one. He reveals that Tsunagu initially stopped them from turning the booth into a beast folk cafe, but he pushed for it anyway, believing it would let everyone blend in through something fun. He states this firmly to Kisara, leaving her speechless. Seeing how much effort everyone has put into it, Tsunagu ultimately allows the plan to go through. Even Kisara admits it is what saved her earlier, so she brushes the matter off. Tsunagu remembers the supplies he left behind and goes back to retrieve them. Before leaving, he asks if Mari wants to put on a mask. Hearing this, Kisara and Yukihiro start arguing over what kind of mask would suit her best, so Mari simply declines. Despite everyone's efforts to grow closer, Mari notices that Tsunagu's tail is not widening at all. Concerned, she calls out to him and asks if he is okay. Tsunagu simply leans closer and tells her to meet him on the rooftop later. Although his tone does not sound troubled, Mari cannot help but wonder whether he is truly having fun. As the class cleans up, they start talking about the after-party. Yukihiro asks if they should go, but Mari says she will walk Kisara to the station first. With that, both Yukihiro and Tsunagu volunteer to take her instead. Kisara looks at the two of them and starts chanting to decide who will take her. In the end, Yukihiro walks her to the station. Along the way, they tease each other, and Kisara admits she cheated a little when she made her choice. When Yukihiro asks what she means, Kisara casually points out that he likes Mari, and Yukihiro guesses that Kisara likes Tsunagu in return. Kisara is stunned to hear that Yukihiro knows about her feelings towards Tsunagu, though he says it has been obvious since summer. In return, she points out that she can also smell his affection for Mari, and it frustrates him that he cannot hide it from her. The light turns green, and they resume walking. Yukihiro assumes Kisara deliberately chose him to accompany her so they could talk about this. Though she immediately denies it, she admits she simply wants Mari and Tsunagu to have time alone together. Kisara admits she is emotionally torn, as she feels she must act kindly even while her heart is being crushed. Still, she considers the two of them her friends, even if her actions are partly to protect herself. She's doing everything she can to manage her frustration. When Mari told her she would treasure Tsunagu, Kisara made up her mind to be kind to her so that her pain would become a charm. Her support is sincere, but she must also guard her heart. Staying close is a way she can let those feelings fade. Yukihiro pats Kisara's head, telling her she's already doing a great job supporting them, and that she's just making everything harder on herself. Kisara disagrees, saying he's only looking at the brighter side and refusing to acknowledge his own pain. She knows it must hurt him too, watching the two of them being affectionate when he also has feelings for Mari. Even when Yukihiro downplays it as a simple, unrequited crush, Kisara insists that it can't be easy. Yukihiro admits it can be rough, yet he doesn't want to stop making Mari smile. Until Tsunagu and Mari openly acknowledge their relationship, he'll keep holding on. He promised Mari he'd tell her what he wants, and that is for her to be happy. When he finishes speaking, he realizes Kisara is no longer beside him. Turning around, he sees her at a nearby vending machine getting drinks. She hands him a bottle and reminds him that if things become unbearable, she's willing to go with him somewhere else. Yukihiro agrees. Though Kisara still tries teasing him, he can't deny that this is the first time he's ever let someone hear his feelings. As they walk, Yukihiro realizes that people can reveal their weaknesses in the most unexpected places. Meanwhile, back at school, the schoolyard is illuminated with LED candles. From the rooftop, Mari and Tsunagu watch the scene below. Many classmates invited Tsunagu to join them, but he keeps his distance. He's been deep in thought lately, and Mari gently presses him for answers. With that, Tsunagu tells her to sit closer. They settle beside each other, cuddling, while Tsunagu opens up. He admits that he's happy everyone is starting to accept him as a beast person, but in order for him to blend in, others have been changing themselves. Even though it was a fun day, it only made him feel more isolated. Mari understands exactly what he means. However, she points out how she fell in love with him despite being surrounded by other people. Humans come in different forms too, and for her, there is no need for everyone to look the same. Her only wish is for them to be accepted as who they are. By voicing their wishes aloud, it feels as though they are joining everyone below in the candlelight. Mari then shares that she also wishes Tsunagu would never feel lonely again, and that everyone can feel that way. Tsunagu teases her for having so many wishes, but Mari simply asks for his. To her surprise, he pulls her into a kiss. When they part, he whispers that his wish is for them to stay together forever. Mari silently hopes his wish will come true as well. Their moment deepens and becomes intimate until something snaps nearby. Tsunagu's sensitive ears immediately pick it up, and he pauses, scanning the area to see where it came from. In another room, the same student journalist from earlier looks at the photo on his phone, realizing he just captured the shot of a lifetime. Meanwhile, Tsunagu and Mari inspect the camera they found and both instantly know what it means. Mari knows how it works. It is connected to a phone, and she understands someone took a secret photo of them. Tsunagu suggests talking to the teacher, because whoever did this has taken photos without permission. At the same time, Yukihiro arrives and immediately notices something is wrong. With no hesitation, they head straight to the teacher, and all of them have the same person in mind who could have done this. However, the teacher needs to supervise the after party, so he instructs them to go home for now. Just then, someone rushes in to inform the teacher about an article spreading around, talking about a female student and a beast person. He shows the post on his phone, unaware that the students he is talking about are standing right in front of him. Still, the teacher remains firm. He tells them again to go home for today. Alone, the three decide to check the article themselves. Yukihiro shows them how it works. It is a student newspaper where they drop all the current gossip, and they can log in using their school email. When he checks today's article, he sees the photo, but the writing is framed as if Mari is being harassed by Tsunagu. That is why their teacher seems so panicked. Yukihiro can only curse that journalist in his mind, while Mari is full of grief, realizing that everything written there is a lie. Just as Tsunagu tries to comfort her, the journalist arrives, and Yukihiro immediately steps forward to scold him. Even though the journalist tries to deny it and claims someone just handed him the information, Tsunagu smelled his scent on the camera. Still, even though it is a lie, the journalist points out that they have never received such a high number of views from an article. With that, Yukihiro can no longer hold his temper and grabs him by the collar. Luckily, Tsunagu stops him before he does anything more. Mari also steps forward, pointing out that what he did is wrong and that she will hold him accountable for it. Cornered, he panics and runs away for now. Just then, a few students walk past talking about the article and sympathizing with Mari for supposedly being harassed. Tsunagu hears them, but Mari covers his ears to shield him from their words. Instead, the three decide to head home. Tsunagu keeps apologizing, even though both Yukihiro and Mari know none of this is his fault. Mari even blames herself for letting her guard down, but right now, she just wants to fix everything. She doesn't want the situation to weigh on Tsunagu. Tsunagu knows it isn't her fault either. Yukihiro asks if Tsunagu won't be coming to school tomorrow, and Tsunagu confirms he won't. The teacher seems to be struggling to control the situation, and Tsunagu doesn't want to make things worse. Yukihiro is sad to hear this, but Tsunagu can only entrust Mari to him, reminding Mari to contact him if anything happens. Despite everything, Mari can't shake the thought of Tsunagu alone behind those walls, unable to defend himself or say anything. With that, she leans closer and pours out her emotions, and Tsunagu responds by holding her tightly, while Mari can only apologize for putting him in such a difficult position. When only Yukihiro and Mari remain walking, Yukihiro brings up how down Tsunagu must be and insists they need to do something for him. Mari uses the opportunity to apologize, admitting that while the article is a lie, the photo is real and she's sorry they hid their relationship from him. But Yukihiro brushes it off and reveals that Tsunagu already told him everything, meaning he knew it all along. That fact only fuels his anger more. It frustrates him that people keep getting in their way, and he wants that journalism club to stop. Then Yukihiro places an LED candle on Mari's head with his written wish. It says he wants to go to the theme park someday when Tsunagu can finally go to more places, and Mari silently hopes that day will come true as well. The next morning, Mari wakes up to multiple messages from Ritsuka and Ayano, both worried about her after seeing the article. When she opens the student portal, she notices the article has already been taken down, but she knows it has already been circulated through DMs. Removing it now won't stop the rumors. While she's eating breakfast, her phone lights up with a message from Tsunagu. It's just a simple good morning, yet it's enough to give her the strength to do her best for him today. As she gets ready to leave, she hesitates and finally tells her mother that there is someone she likes. She refuses to say more, but she warns her mom not to believe anything the school might say about her. When she steps outside, she finds Yukihiro waiting by the gate. He overheard everything she said and bursts into laughter. He explains that he came because Tsunagu asked him to look after her, but after hearing her bold declaration, he thinks maybe there isn't anything to worry about. At school, the teacher is taking down the poster of the article from the bulletin board while students gather around and whisper nervously about the beast person mentioned in it. Just then, Mari arrives with Yukihiro, causing the crowd to murmur even more. Mari tries to ignore the whispers. Yukihiro teases her by asking if he should cover her ears, but she continues walking, reassuring herself that everything will be fine. As she enters the classroom, awkward stares follow her. Ritsuka and Ayano immediately rush over to hug her, ready to ask what happened, when the teacher suddenly appears. The teacher instructs Mari to go to the faculty room. Ritsuka immediately scolds him for treating Mari like an outcast, and he tries to defend his actions. Meanwhile, Mari walks alone to the faculty room. In class, the teacher opens the discussion about Tsunagu, asking the students for their opinions on his behavior. Ochi's old crew immediately mocks him, claiming that as a beast person, he would definitely assault someone. However, Ochi quickly stops them, but they snap back, prompting the teacher to scold them and order them to stand at the back of the classroom for disrupting the discussion. Ritsuka and Ayano are the first to speak, criticizing the quality of the article and insisting they don't believe anything written in it. Gradually, more classmates agree, leaving the teacher in disbelief. Ritsuka points out that Tsunagu could easily win the Nicest Guy of the Year award, and the class echoes her sentiment. One by one, students express that Tsunagu has been unfairly judged and that they cannot truly understand his side until they hear it from him directly. Even Ochi acknowledges that the photo was taken without permission, highlighting it as a serious violation. Meanwhile, Mari is told to go to the counseling room, where she meets with the school counselor to discuss the article. In class, Yukihiro can only wish Tsunagu were there to hear all the good things his classmates are saying about him. In the counseling room, Mari notices a leave of absence request for Tsunagu lying on the counselor's table. Curious, she picks it up and asks about it, causing the counselor to panic briefly before claiming she had just left it out and that the decision hasn't been finalized. The counselor explains that the school is concerned because a beast person is involved, which has stirred a lot of concern from parents. Mari grows frustrated at the situation, feeling it unfairly singles Tsunagu out. The counselor insists that they are still handling things carefully. She wants to hear from both the publisher of the article and Mari herself. However, Mari realizes that any delay will only further isolate Tsunagu. With that, she asserts that she was not attacked and denies the allegations made in the article. She clarifies that both she and Tsunagu are in love. Mari emphasizes that before any decisions are made, everyone should understand that Tsunagu did nothing wrong. The counselor acknowledges her perspective but explains that she cannot intervene, as Tsunagu has already been informed about the possibility of a leave of absence. At this point, the choice ultimately rests with him. Yukihiro immediately rushes to see Mari after her meeting with the counselor. However, her expression tells him nothing promising came out of it. Meanwhile, Tsunagu sits alone on the other side of the wall, drowning in worry. He fears he is dragging Mari's name down with him, and no matter how much he tells himself he hasn't done anything wrong, being a beast person already makes everything harder. Just then, his mother barges into the room, announcing that she will be going out for a while. Before leaving, she tells Tsunagu there are things they need to discuss later. He still hasn't talked to his parents, nor to anyone else. With the school requesting a leave of absence, even if Mari tries to defend him, he cannot bring himself to decide. He calls himself pathetic, when suddenly, a voice interrupts his thoughts. Yukihiro suddenly appears at his bedroom window, casually mocking him as if nothing in the world is wrong. Tsunagu immediately asks why Yukihiro is in the Beast Folks town, but Yukihiro clearly knows what he's doing. It's his first time there, yet he acts casually, so Tsunagu scolds him, saying humans don't normally visit this late at night. Just then, Kisara also appears, explaining she pulled a few strings legally to make it possible. Confused, Tsunagu asks what she means, so Kisara reveals she begged his mother, who is the director of the Beast Folk Protection Bureau, to allow Yukihiro inside, all because he insisted on talking to Tsunagu. Outside, the two stand together. Tsunagu tells Yukihiro to be careful in the beast folk territory, but Yukihiro insists he should be worrying about himself instead. Yukihiro then admits just how enraged he is, saying he might hit Tsunagu if he keeps acting like this. His frustration comes from everything Marvy told him. Tsunagu finally confesses he's considering taking a leave of absence, thinking it would make everything easier for everyone. His answer makes Yukihiro snap. He thinks of how Marvy is risking everything, while Tsunagu is simply planning to walk away. The idea of Tsunagu taking a leave of absence just to appease others infuriates him. As his rival, watching Tsunagu do nothing when they both know how much he cares pisses him off even more. He urges Tsunagu not to hold back. Suddenly, Tsunagu grabs him, pulling him forward so their foreheads collide hard, sending Yukihiro stumbling in pain. Tsunagu apologizes immediately, admitting Yukihiro's words struck a nerve. Still, Yukihiro tells him he's there to support him, and Tsunagu then explains how hard it is to make humans understand what beast folk feel. With his encouragement, Tsunagu finally opens up. He admits that all this time, Tsunagu believed the only option was to wait in silence, at least before he met them. Being around them made him feel allowed to speak and say what he truly feels. And if he's honest, he still wants to go to school. He wants to protect both Marvy and himself. He wants to fight for them without holding back. So he decides that he won't take a leave of absence. Hearing this, Yukihiro finally exhales in relief, and Tsunagu can only apologize for wavering. They end up arguing pettily about it, while Kisara quietly laughs at both of them. With that, Yukihiro urges him to go straight to Marvy and reveals she is here as well. Yukihiro explains that she's in the flower field speaking with his mother. She's doing everything she can so Tsunagu can come back in peace. Yukihiro emphasizes once more just how willing they all are to support him. Tsunagu can't help but tear up, and Yukihiro instantly teases him about it. So Tsunagu decides to go, but before he can leave, he thanks Yukihiro once more. After he leaves, Yukihiro slumps back beside Kisara, complaining about his head. Kisara congratulates him for doing well, amazed by how far both Marvy and Yukihiro would go for Tsunagu. But to Yukihiro, they're his friends, so of course they'll do it, no matter how hard it gets. Kisara admits that compared to humans, the way beast folk live feels restricted and full of rules. It leaves them constantly at a disadvantage from the moment they are born. Still, she also knows humans are the ones who drag them out of that dark place. It makes her think Tsunagu has somehow learned to be selfish like a human. She acknowledges that Yukihiro is doing a great job, but deep down she knows his support for their romance is also just him trying to act strong. However, Yukihiro insists he's fine. What matters most to him is Marvy's smile. As if sympathizing with him, Kisara offers her tale to comfort him. She tells him he can use it to warm himself since there are no cafes open around here at this hour. Yukihiro jokes that he prefers her shoulder instead, making Kisara fume, so he quickly takes it back. To his surprise, Kisara admits that she thinks it would be fine. So Yukihiro leans his head on her shoulder, taking in the silence of the beast folk town. He realizes how even places hidden in the shadows can still be wrapped in light. So the two of them sit there, gazing at the moon and the world around them. Meanwhile, Marvy stands alone in the flower field when Tsunagu's mother arrives, carrying a cup of hot cocoa to warm her. Marvy accepts it immediately, watching this human woman who also fell in love with a beast person just like herself. She's grateful to finally meet her, but she apologizes for asking something when they haven't even properly introduced themselves. Tsunagu's mother insists there is nothing to apologize for. Instead, she thanks Marvy for caring about him, especially when he is being pushed to take a leave of absence before he can even sort his feelings out. It feels as though all the kindness he has received is being thrown away, and the unfairness of it makes her furious. With her being the director of the Beast Folk Protection Bureau, Tsunagu's mother swears she will talk to them and sort it out, and she thanks Marvy for going all the way there to show her love for Tsunagu. Marvy then hands her a piece of paper with her testimony and her friend's opinions written on it, hoping it can help. As Tsunagu's mother reads it in front of her, Marvy becomes embarrassed. Still, Marvy promises she will make Tsunagu happy. Even though she can't fix everything, as she is just a child, she promises she will do her best. Then Tsunagu appears, making Marvy even more embarrassed. His mother tells him she will take care of the paperwork and leaves Marvy with him. Before she goes, she gestures a thumbs up, sending Marvy into panic at the thought that she spilled everything on her mind and somehow received approval from his mom. Alone, they talk about how Yukihiro and Kisara helped them, and Marvy admits she got the Protection Bureau involved as well, glad that she could contribute somehow. Tsunagu still finds it amazing that they all went there for his sake, so Marvy tells him it's because they love him. With that, Tsunagu pulls her into an embrace, thanking her for everything, while she tries to act tough. But suddenly, her tears fall as she admits she was afraid he would disappear again. As her loneliness spills out, Tsunagu assures her he won't leave her anymore. Mari tries to play it cool, but even so, Tsunagu tells her she is strong. Both she and Yukihiro push him forward, so if anyone is lame, it would be him. Even then, he promises her again that he won't disappear anymore. With that, Tsunagu wants to make Mari happy as well. He holds her hand and tells her he wants to stand by her as her boyfriend. Those words send Mari into shock. She proceeds to reflect on how she gave up having a normal relationship and stayed by his side all this time because she loved him. Even after lies were spread about them, she still wants them to move forward. Tsunagu reveals he wants to go back to school so he can fight for both of them. He decides he doesn't want to be just a beast person anymore, but someone at her side, so he asks her to be his girlfriend. Mari accepts, knowing their bond goes beyond simply liking each other. In that field they embrace, and everything around them will still be difficult, but right now, they are the happiest people in the world. All they can do is hope that they will be supported by those around them. The next day at school, everyone's shocked to see Tsunagu back and whispers ripple through the halls. Yukihiro and Mari try to calm him down, but Tsunagu assures them he's fine. The teacher calls them to the reception for a talk. Yukihiro wishes them luck before leaving, and they walk hand in hand toward the reception, earning gazes from everyone around. At the reception, the school administration meets with the Protection Bureau to address the incident involving the false article and the unauthorized photos. The journalist Kanari insists he only received the information from someone else and denies responsibility. However, it becomes clear that he intentionally set up the camera on the rooftop. Authorities also review the data from his computer, which was used for the journalism club. Kanari's mother reviews the evidence, stunned that her son caused so much trouble. Tsunagu strongly condemns Kanari's actions, but Kanari still refuses to take responsibility, claiming he merely left his camera there and only wrote what he observed, so it isn't a lie. Meanwhile, in the classroom, classmates question Yukihiro about Mari and Tsunagu's meeting with the administration. They express sympathy for the two and firmly believe Tsunagu is innocent. Yukihiro is surprised by their support, but seeing how actively Mari helped collect evidence for Tsunagu and noticing the two holding hands, the classmates quietly conclude that Mari and Tsunagu are indeed very close. Back at the reception, Kanari still refuses to admit to anything, even when confronted with clear evidence and his mother's scolding. Mari glances at Tsunagu, worried about whether he's handling the situation okay, and Tsunagu calmly asks Kanari whether he wants to be a beast person. Kanari scoffs at the question, finding it ridiculous, but Tsunagu explains how beast folk have been experimented on, hated, and isolated over the years. Even after centuries, humans still assume beast folk will harm them. He warns that if Kanari spreads lies, he too will be hated and bear isolation for years to come. Mari adds firmly that because of Kanari's falsehoods, the beast person has suffered, and by continuing to deny his responsibility, he is turning into a true monster. The following day at school, students discuss how Kanari is taking a leave after his fake article was exposed. That same morning, Mari walks around the wall where she and Tsunagu first met. Coincidentally, Tsunagu is also there, and they greet each other warmly. The gates are already closed when Mari arrives since she overslept, while Tsunagu explains he's taking a moment to decide whether it's really okay for him to enter a human school. He remembers this as their first meeting, though in reality he simply overslept as well. With that, Tsunagu leaps first and offers his hand to Mari. She gladly accepts it, and together they climb the wall. Holding hands tightly, Tsunagu asks how far he can go now that he's your boyfriend. So Mari answers that it's as far as he likes. After taking that final leap, a new door awaits them. In class, they arrive together, greeted warmly by everyone. The day proceeds as usual with lessons and laughter, and Mari later receives a message from Kisara saying she'll be waiting to go shopping with her after their classes end. At lunch, the trio eats on the rooftop as usual. After class, Kisara immediately rushes to greet Mari so they can go shopping. The four of them spend the day together, with Mari and Tsunagu holding hands as they walk, while Kisara and Yukihiro exchange glances beside them. Despite the playful teasing and lighthearted moments, their bonds grow stronger, each of them cherishing the time spent together. Thanks for watching. This marks the end of the season. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed it.